This is Apollo Control at 144 hours. Apollo 11 is 23,289 nautical miles from the moon, approaching the Earth at a velocity of 4,361 feet per second. All systems performing well and the crew still in the rest period. It does not appear likely that we will perform mid-course correction number 5, scheduled for approximately 150.5 hours elapsed time. However, a firm decision on this mid-course will not be made for approximately 3.5 hours. This is Mission Control, Houston. This is Apollo Control at 145 hours. Apollo 11 is 25,857 nautical miles from the moon, heading toward home at 4,338 feet per second. Apollo 11 will leave the moon's sphere of influence at an elapsed time of 148 hours, 7 minutes, 23 seconds. This is Mission Control, Houston.
This is Apollo Control at 146 hours. We have heard nothing from the crew. We assume they are still asleep. That sleep period began at about 137 hours, 47 minutes. At this time, Apollo 11 is 28,421 nautical miles from the moon and traveling at a speed of 4,322 feet per second. The decision on mid-course correction number 5 is still tending toward not doing that mid-course. However, the decision hasn't been made finally, and there will be some additional tracking prior to firming up that decision. At this point, it appears that the mid-course at the number 5 opportunity would require about 4 to 5 feet per second by waiting until the opportunity at mid-course correction 6. About 7 feet per second would be required. We do not plan to awaken the crew, at least immediately. Let them continue sleeping. All spacecraft systems continue to look very good to us here on the ground. We've completed the change of shift here in Mission Control. Flight Director Clifford Charlesworth has relieved Milton Windler, and our capsule communicator is astronaut Bruce McCandless. At 146 hours, 2 minutes, this is Apollo Control, Houston. This is Apollo Control at 147 hours. The flight surgeon reported a short while ago that the crew appeared still to be sleeping. However, we have seen some signs of activity aboard the spacecraft. Suspect they may be waking shortly. At the present time, Apollo 11 is 30,980 nautical miles from the moon. Speed is 4,308 feet per second. The flight plan for today is relatively quiet, and we're continuing to await the crew's own awakening. We don't plan to awaken them from the ground at this time. At 147 hours, 1 minute, this is Mission Control, Houston. This is Apollo Control at 147 hours, 30 minutes. The flight surgeon reported a short while ago that the lunar module pilot Buzz Aldrin appears to be up at this time. Both Armstrong and Collins appear still to be sleeping. At the present time, Apollo 11 is 32,253 nautical miles from the moon and traveling at a speed of 4,303 feet per second. Flight Director Clifford Charlesworth has elected to perform the mid-course correction maneuver scheduled at trans-earth injection plus 15 hours. That would be at about 150 hours, 25 minutes ground elapsed time. The exact time of that mid-course correction is not critical, and it could move around somewhat. We expect that it would be a velocity change of about 5 feet per second. We expect there will be some conversation with the crew before too much longer. We'll come back up when we hear from the spacecraft. This is Apollo Control at 147 hours, 32 minutes. This is Apollo Control at 147 hours, 39 minutes. The flight surgeon reports that all 3 crewmen now are awake. We expect to be hearing a good morning from the spacecraft before too much longer, so we'll stand by for that. We said good night to the crew last night at about 137 hours, 47 minutes. So they have apparently had a good 10-hour rest period, and we'll probably be getting a crew status report indicating just how much sleep each of the crewmen got. We'll stand by for any conversation with the spacecraft.
Good afternoon, Houston. Apollo 11 up.
Good morning, 11. This is Houston, over.
Okay, crew status report 8.8 and 8.5.
Roger, 8.8 and 8.5. When you're ready, we've got a small flight plan update for you.
Houston, we're ready to copy.
Roger, at about 148 hours, if you have not already done so, a CO2 filter change, and the H2 purge line heater on 20 minutes before the O2 and H2 purge. At 148 hours, we'd like you to initiate a charge on battery alpha instead of at 151 hours, and leave the charge on until we notify you further. At 150 hours GET, wastewater dump to 10%. We do plan to burn mid-course correction 5. It will be an RCS burn, about 5 feet per second, at about the nominal time in the flight plan, over.
Roger, understand. We'll be accomplishing the filter change shortly. The purge line heater is on, and we'll take care of O2 and H2 purge shortly, and at 48 we'll charge on battery A. So you notify us further. 150 hours, wastewater dump to 10%, and we're looking forward to mid-course correction 5 at about 5 feet per second at the nominal time, over.
Roger, I've got your consumables updated. You're ready to copy?
Copy.
Okay, at GET of 147 plus 00, RCS total minus 2.0%, which is about minus 14 pounds. Alpha minus 12.0, Bravo plus 10.0, minus 3.0, minus 2.0. Hydrogen total minus 1.5 pounds. O2 total plus 20 pounds. Over.
Roger, I copy, and our onboard readouts. Alpha 52%. Bravo 54%. Loco 64%. Delta 61%.
Roger, 11. Would you read Quad Alpha again, please? Buzz, you're cutting out. It may be... Are you operating on Vox, over?
Negative. Alpha is 53%, over.
Roger, we copy. 11 from down here on telemetry. All your systems look to be in good shape. Apollo 11, this is Houston, over.
Go ahead.
Roger, would you ask Buzz to check his biometrical TM sensors for a loose or dried out sensor? We're getting erratic electrocardiogram readings. That would be one of the 3 sternal leads, over.
Okay.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. Say again your last, please.
Disregard.
Roger.
This is Apollo Control at 148 hours, 7 minutes. In about 24 seconds from now, the spacecraft will pass the imaginary line into the Earth's sphere of influence.
Stand by for a mark, leaving the lunar sphere of influence. Mark, you're leaving the lunar sphere of influence, over.
Roger, is Bill Schaffer down here?
Negative, but we've got a highly qualified team on in his stead.
Roger, I wanted to hear him explain it again at the press conference.
Okay.
That's an old Apollo 8 joke, but tell him the spacecraft gave a little jump as they went through the sphere.
Okay, I'll pass it on to him. Thanks a lot, and Dave Reed is sort of burying his head in his arms right now.
Roger that. Those guys down here in the trench been doing a pretty good job this place.
Yes, they have.
And we don't want them to give up yet, though.
No, they'll hang in there for about another 47 hours or so.
Okay.
This is Apollo Control at 148 hours, 21 minutes. At the time the spacecraft crossed from the moon's sphere of influence to the Earth's sphere of influence, that point at which the Earth is computed as having the dominant influence on the spacecraft trajectory. Apollo 11 was about 33,800 nautical miles from the moon and about 174,000 nautical miles from Earth. At the present time, the spacecraft is traveling at a speed of 3,994 feet per second with respect to the Earth. After awakening this morning, Neil Armstrong reported all 3 crewmen getting at least 8 hours of sleep. The commander got about 8 hours. The command module pilot, Mike Collins, about 8 hours. And Armstrong reported that lunar module pilot Buzz Aldrin got about 8.5 hours of sleep.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. If you're not busy now, I can read you up the morning news.
Okay, we're all listening.
Say again, 11?
Roger, we're all listening. Go ahead.
Roger from the hot wires of the Public Affairs Office. Apollo 11 still dominates the news around the world. Only 4 nations, Communist China, North Korea, North Vietnam, and Albania, have not yet informed their citizens of your flight and landing on the moon. One newsman said that he has run out of ways to describe your success. Tonight, President Nixon is scheduled to watch the All-Star baseball game in Washington. After the game, he will depart for the Pacific Recovery Area. Wednesday evening, he will fly from Johnston Island by helicopter to the Navy communications ship Arlington. Then on Thursday morning, he will reboard the helicopter and fly to the Hornet in time to witness your splashdown. Accompanying the President will be Secretary of State William Rogers and Frank Borman. They will watch the splashdown from the bridge of the recovery ship with Admiral John Sidney McCain, Jr., commander of the Pacific Forces. Following the President's stay aboard the Hornet, he will depart for his tour of Asia and schedule a visit to Romania. Luna 15 is believed to have crashed into the Sea of Crises yesterday after orbiting the Moon 52 times. The Soviet news agency TASS reported that, quote, scientific research in near-moon space was carried out, unquote. Sir Bernard Lovell at Jodrell Bank Observatory said that Luna 15 hit the surface of the Moon at a speed of about 300 miles per hour. Things have been relatively quiet recently in Vietnam. GIs on patrol were observed carrying transistor radios tuned into Europe flight. The Armed Forces radio and TV network in Vietnam gave the mission full coverage. Skirmishes still continue between the Egyptians and Israelis along the Suez Canal. UN observers there are trying to halt the action. In Washington, the House Ways and Means Committee has voted to reduce the 27.5% oil depletion allowance to 20%. We've had rain several times here in the Houston area. Today it is cloudy and more showers are expected. On the sports front, as we mentioned earlier, the All-Star game is tonight. There were no games played yesterday. Last night in New York, the Baseball Writers Association of America named Babe Ruth the greatest ball player of all time. Joe DiMaggio was named the greatest living ball player. Frank Borman made the announcements at a dinner honoring the players. Joe Namath put in a full day at the New York Jets training camp. 5 policemen had a hard time restraining about 500 kids who wanted to touch Broadway Joe. He said he feels fine and will play in the All-Star game August 1 if Coach Webb Eubank lets him. The Oilers camp at Kerrville got wet yesterday, but the workouts continued. There have been some minor injuries, but nothing too serious. Coach Wally Lem is satisfied so far with the workouts. The Oilers are expecting attendance by over 30,000 for the preseason game with Buffalo. Apparently, Don Meredith's retirement isn't expected to dampen enthusiasm, especially around here in Houston. Mario Andretti won the 200-mile Trenton Auto Race Sunday and is now the leading race driver in the U.S. Auto Club's point standings. And that's about the summary of the morning news this afternoon in Houston. Over.
Make up the Dow Jones Industrial Report.
Roger, stand by a minute, please. Apollo 11, this is Houston. We see you in Pooh when you can give us accept. We have a state vector and target load uplink ready for you.
Roger, Houston. Go ahead, you got the computer.
Roger, thank you. Apollo 11, we've completed the uplink. The computer's yours.
Thank you.
Apollo 11, this is Houston, over.
Go ahead.
Roger. With respect to the Dow Jones Industrials, since closing on Tuesday afternoon, the 15th, up to about 1:05 p.m. Houston time this afternoon, why the effect has been a net drop that is minus 6 points on the industrial average. So far today, since opening, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has gone down by 11.05 after rising 1.5 shortly after opening. Today's performance on the utilities is a drop of 1.63 and railroads a drop of 1.58. Over.
Yeah, every flight has to have some disadvantages, I guess.
There's some speculation that you all were responsible for that 1.5 point rise right after opening.
Well, don't blame the 11-point drop on us anyway.
Roger. Apollo 11, this is Houston. If you have a minute or so free, I wonder if we could get Mike to give us a little bit of clarification on what happened around about the time of docking. We copied him as mentioning that contact was very smooth, almost imperceptible, and we're a little bit inquisitive or curious about his remarks as to what happened after probe retraction. Over.
Roger, I docked in CMC Auto, and as I said, I wasn't really sure of the moment of contact. I kept cross-checking the docking probe indicators. I got 2 barber poles indicating that the 3 capture latches, or not capture latches, but the 3 gizmatches had made, and we were soft docked. And at that time, the situation looked very stable. So I went to CMC free, glanced back out the window, it still looked stable, and I fired primary 2 bottle. And at that time, a gyration began between the 2 vehicles, due, I'm not sure to what, perhaps the LEM thrusting, or perhaps it was building up prior and I hadn't noticed it. But anyway, during the retract of the probe, there were my yaw excursions of, I would guess, around 15 degrees, and I had to come back on, take the free switch and throw it back to auto and try to damp them out, and I guess Neil was doing the same in the LEM. I'll let you tell him about his side of it. And I thought that we were not going to get a successful retract and hard dock. However, in about, I guess 6 or 8 seconds, I did hear, could see the situation damping out, and then we heard the noise indicating the docking latches had fired, and later on when I got in the tunnel, all 12 of them had properly engaged.
Roger.
And on the left side, we were in ag, min deadband at hold, and at contact, I thrusted plus X, and shortly after that, we had a sizable attitude oscillation and thruster firing, so we opened up the deadband to max and manually flew the vehicle into stable attitude during the retraction. And we went to off during the completion of the retraction.
Roger, thank you very much, John. Apollo 11, this is Houston. I have your mid-course correction 5 pad available when you're ready to copy.
Stand by. Here's Apollo 11, ready to copy.
11, this is Houston. Mid-course correction number 5. RCS GNN 26025. Pitch and yaw trim NA. TIG 150. 29er 5453 minus 00048 plus all balls plus 00001 075 159er 328. HA is NA. HP plus 00230 00048 011 00048. Sexton star 03 09er 08 382. Boresight star block none available. Latitude plus 1102 minus 17204 11803 36275 195 0333. GDC align Deneb and Vega 007 144 068. No ullage, of course. 4 quad thrusting. Over. Read back.
Roger. Mid-course number 5, RCS GNN 26025. Pitch and yaw NA 150 29er 5453 minus 00048 plus all zeros plus 00001 075 159er 328 NA plus 00230 00048 011 00048 03 09er 08 382 NA 3 times plus 1102 minus 17204 11803 36275 19er 5 0333 10 in Vega 007 144 068 and 4 quads for the burn. Over.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. Read back correct. Out.
This is Apollo Control at 148 hours, 58 minutes. The series of numbers passed up to the crew a few minutes ago was for mid-course correction number 5. That is scheduled to occur at 150 hours, 29 minutes, 54 seconds. It will be a reaction control system burn using the spacecraft reaction control system thrusters with a velocity change of 4.8 feet per second, and that will be retrograde. Primary purpose of the will be to adjust the entry conditions, which would primarily be for corridor control, controlling the flight path angle at entry. And the current predicted splash time in the Pacific is 195 hours, 17 minutes, 25 seconds. At the present time, Apollo 11 is 172,654 nautical miles from the Earth, traveling at a speed of 4,017 feet per second. We estimate that the spacecraft will be halfway home at a ground elapsed time of 159 hours, 53 minutes, 43 seconds. At that point, the spacecraft will be 145,583 nautical miles from the Earth's surface, and we'll have completed half of the return trip, measured from lunar orbit insertion to splashdown. We also have another figure that would be for the time at which the spacecraft velocity is equal with respect to both the Earth and the Moon. At that point, the velocity will be 4,300 feet per second with respect to both bodies. And we would define this as the equal potential point. That will occur at 155 hours, 30 minutes. And at that time, the spacecraft will be 156,874 nautical miles from the Earth, 52,543 nautical miles from the Moon. We're now 1 hour, 28 minutes, 26 seconds from ignition for the mid-course correction 5 maneuver.
Apollo 11, this is Houston, over.
Roger, Houston.
Roger, if Neil has a free minute, we've got a question or two regarding the CO2 partial pressure and water in the suit loop discrepancies noted yesterday, over.
Go ahead.
Roger, 11. Was water noted in both suits or only in yours, Neil?
I think only in my suit.
Okay, can you locate that occurrence for us in time when you first noticed water in the suit, either by mission time or relation to any particular event?
I think it was after insertion sometime, Bruce. I don't remember exactly when. It was when we were in orbit and after we took our helmets off.
Roger, did you call it to us when you first noticed it, or was it sometime after when you called it?
I guess it might have been probably 20 minutes after I noticed it that I mentioned it to you.
Roger, was this noticing the water accompanied by erratic CO2 partial pressure readings, or was that a separate problem? Over.
Well, the water problem evidenced itself before we noted any erratic motions of the PCO2 gauge.
Roger. And what was the relative sequence on selecting water separator number 2 and the secondary CO2 canister? That is, did you go to the secondary water separator first and then secondary CO2? Over.
I believe we went to secondary CO2 first. Secondary lithium hydroxide.
Roger, we copy. And was there any change in your suit loop?
No.
Go ahead.
I should mention, Bruce, that when I went water separator to secondary, I didn't notice any change. But about after 15 minutes or 20 minutes, the water stopped coming out. So maybe that was just water that was already in the loop that was still blowing out, but the secondary water separator was operating properly.
Roger, did you make any changes in the suit loop configuration after you went from the egress mode to the cabin mode after insertion? That is, in particular, they're interested in knowing if you recall changing the diverter valve to position to egress at any time while you were on the secondary canister. Over.
No, I don't believe we did that at all, Bruce.
Okay, 11, thank you. That sums up our questions for now, and we'll crank these back into the engineering pipeline and see what we can come up with.
Okay, are you satisfied that the CO2 circuit breaker was in Jettison? Over?
Say again, please.
Roger, on Lem Jettison, are you satisfied that the CO2 circuit breaker was in? Over?
Yes, it was in.
Roger, could you confirm that? I thought there was some question after we got into the command module as to whether that had been left in or not. Over.
Roger, 11, it was in and confirmed in, and the readings after jettison stayed about 0.1 to 0.2. Apollo 11, this is Houston. We have not noticed any change in the signal coming through on the LMP's EKG. When he has a little free time, we'd like him to check into it again. Over.
Roger, I looked at all three of the upper chest center ones, and they appear to be fairly tight. I'll push them back in again. Over.
Roger, on the TM here, we noticed some fluctuations that may have been attributed to your moving the sensors around or pushing on them, but the erratic problem seems to be persisting.
This is Apollo Control at 149 hours, 41 minutes. We're now about 49 minutes away from the first mid-course correction on this trans-Earth leg of the Apollo 11 flight. That maneuver will be a 4.8 foot per second burn of the spacecraft reaction control system thrusters, and is scheduled to occur at a ground elapsed time of 150 hours, 29 minutes, 54 seconds. At this time, Apollo 11 is 171,017 nautical miles from the Earth, and the spacecraft velocity is 4,043 feet per second.
Houston, Apollo 11, over.
'11, this is Houston, over.
Roger. I wonder if you noticed any change in the biometry turn you're getting, over.
Negative, Buzz. It still looks kind of bad. Apparently when you move around, it's cutting in and out. Have you checked the little electrical connector where it goes into the signal conditioner, over?
Yes, they're all just about as tight as can be. I'll tell you what, I'll take them off and put them back on again. See if that makes any difference.
Okay, if you would, at your convenience. We'll be watching it down here.
This is Apollo control at 150 hours, 4 minutes. Telemetry data at this time shows the spacecraft in the proper attitude for the upcoming mid-course correction maneuver. The crew will soon be verifying their attitude by taking a sighting on a star through the sextant, and then be running some tests on the guidance and control system and the reaction control system before the maneuver takes place. That burn now scheduled to come in a little over 25 minutes. Apollo 11 is now 170,102 nautical miles from the Earth, and the spacecraft velocity is 4,058 feet per second.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. We'd like you to try acquisition on the high gain antenna for us at pitch -90, yaw 270, over.
Roger, that can work.
Roger out. '11, this is Houston. We're showing about 6.8% on wastewater on our telemetry now, over.
Okay, got about 9 up here, over.
Roger out. '11, Houston, we're standing by for your burn. Everything's looking good from down here.
Thank you, Bruce. You got about a minute and 20 seconds.
Roger, we concur.
One minute now until mid-course correction number 5. That will be a 10.9 second burn of the spacecraft reaction control system thrusters, giving a change of velocity retrograde of 4.8 feet per second. The primary purpose of this maneuver will be to control the spacecraft flight path angle at entry interface. We're now less than 30 seconds from the initiation of the burn. They should be burning at this time. And we show the burn off.
Houston, you copy our residuals?
Roger, we've got your residuals. Do you have a counter reading for us?
Delta BC is plus 0.2.
Roger, plus 0.2.
Yeah, it was actually plus 100.2. Okay.
Okay.
That mid-course correction was performed at a distance of about 169,000 nautical miles from the Earth. The spacecraft velocity 4,075.6 feet per second.
Roger. Okay. He updated his land vector slide and it's gone. He's moving over now to the PDC. Okay. Flight GMC. Go ahead. The chart recorder showed that to be 10 minutes. Okay.
This is Apollo Control at 150 hours 35 minutes. Our telemetry data here on the ground shows that mid-course correction maneuver just about nominal, burn duration 10.5 seconds. Prior to the maneuver, we were predicting a splashdown time of 195 hours, 17 minutes, 25 seconds. We expect there will be some modification to that after we've had a chance to do some tracking following this mid-course correction maneuver. Apollo 11 is now 168,843 nautical miles from the Earth, traveling at a speed of 4,078 feet per second. And we're continuing to see a very slow build-up in the velocity.
Completed our look at the TPI data. One degree per second rate. And we do have a few conclusions that we'd like to make.
Okay, what are they?
Well, mainly we think that the fact that we had difference of 3 tenths of 1 the CNN commanded gimbal position and the actual gimbal position during the burn itself due to nozzle erosion or side thrusts. The clutch currents say the same thing, or they verify the same thing. We had clutch currents during PPI of about 112 milliamps. Essentially the same situation that we had the same situation, I should say, on LI2. The fact that we were docked and had higher moments of inertia that show up as an initial rate. At least as bad as LI2. And by the way, we don't really feel that a degree per second is bad. Did you say this on 10? We saw it on 9. We've seen clutch currents on the order of 100 mils with an attendant 3/10 degree difference between what the CNC command and where we feel the gimbal actually is. But we didn't see them that high on 10.
Okay, thank you.
We do have one recommendation on the thing which we have made to the retros, what to use the computer command and actuator offsets that we saw on PEI for any subsequent SPS activity. Okay, well, shouldn't need that. No.
Like that.
Houston, Apollo 11.
Stand by, guys.
Go ahead, 11.
Roger, we're in PTC attitude, and would you please give us a call when our thruster activity has subsided sufficiently?
Roger, stand by.
Flight pilot. Go ahead. I got my go from my checkpoint. Now I got to get a go from you to release your DSC. Certainly. Thank you. GNC flight.
One GNC.
How's that PTC setup?
Houston attitude, we haven't got the rate yet flight. The rate that we like.
It usually takes about, 20 minutes?
That's the time that we've set aside. Sometimes it gets to 10 or 15.
Okay, let me know when you're satisfied.
Roger. I believe when it's lighter like this, it may, that's cause for taking a little longer.
Okay.
Sliding down.
Go.
We're going to hand over Goldstone's 151 hours. And the crew may lose lots of that. If they do, they can require about a certain, there's pitch minus 45 and relative shift.
Copy that, Captain. That's about 4 minutes away. That's about 4 minutes away.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. We're going to hand over from Madrid to Goldstone at 151 hours even. If you should lose lock on the high gain at this time, you may reacquire at pitch minus 45, yaw 270. Break, we're still watching your rates, over.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Captain. Just tell Mike we're still seeing thruster activities. We'll watch it for a while. That's settled out. That's settled out.
Apollo 11, this is Houston, over. 11, this is Houston, over.
Go ahead, Houston.
11, we're still seeing rates on your spacecraft above those that we'd like for a continuation of the PTC mode. We're still monitoring it, and we'll advise you when it's settled down, over.
Okay.
This is Apollo Control at 151 hours, 11 minutes. The crew is presently setting up the spacecraft for passive thermal control. Once it stabilizes out, They'll begin a slow roll rate of 3 revolutions per hour to maintain temperature control. At the present time, Apollo 11 is 167,448 nautical miles from the Earth, and the velocity is 4,101 feet per second.
Flight GNC.
Go.
Okay, we'll go for spin up anytime.
Okay, Capcom.
Roger, Dwight. Hey, I just was talking to Ken Mattingly here on the line, and he submitted that since we're going to break this thing off about 4 hours anyway, that it might be to try a 1/10 of a degree per second spin up instead of a 3/10 of a degree, instead of a 3/10 of a degree. Because we've never tried this without the lamp, and Mike was apparently approached on this pre-flight, so it wouldn't catch cold,
Say again, Ed? Flight already talked to GNC about changing the rate to 1/10 of a degree per second, and he didn't like it initially.
Let's go with the 3/10. Let's go.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. Your go for the spin up on PTC, over.
Thank you.
Flight network.
Go network.
We'd like to release the standby CP.
Okay.
Standby CP.
Okay.
Houston, Apollo 11, over.
Go ahead, 11.
Right, it didn't like it that time. When I got down to the entry 27303 enter, it took off and roll at a high rate in excess of 1 degree per second, over. So I've stopped it now, and we're going to have to go back and do it over again. I'd like to try to find out the reason why it did that.
Roger, you might as well start setting up for it, and we'll be working the problem here.
Okay, did you have us on high bit rate here now?
That's affirmative.
Okay, good. I'll maneuver back to PTC initiation attitude while you guys look at the data and see what you think.
Roger.
Well, I thought that we were sitting here watching when he was in attitude.
Yeah, I thought we were too.
Where'd we get the roll error?
Houston, Apollo 11, I think the reason is in having 1620 on the diff key during the subsequent entries. Or at least that's one possibility.
Roger, we'll check it out.
GNC FAO, my loop. SSR flight director 2. What's he doing now?
He's maneuvering back to start attitude.
Okay, is he going to PAO? He's in PAO.
No, he didn't call it specifically, and I get some good things out of doing that, and he didn't change the DAP data load. Okay?
Okay.
Now, he can do that after he gets here. The sequence wouldn't hurt us. If he, right now, when he finished this maneuver, called program PAO, and then...
Why do you want him to call PAO?
Because I'm setting up some booleans and everything. I mean, it just streams it all out. That's why we
call PAO and start all over.
Call PAO, do verb 48, and change that to the numbers I gave you.
But PAO's in the procedure.
He didn't do it.
Then he hasn't done his
procedure. Yeah. That's not true. Spence, that's not true. It's auto or manual.
It's auto or manual.
That's FAO CMS. They could get slower rates if they put that number to a 0. AGC CMS conference.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
They were asked the question, description of second box of sample.
Yeah.
And the answer that came back was 2 core tubes, solar work composition experiment.
That's what I want to talk about.
Sample bag of assorted rocks from around the area of several sites. Say again, man.
Okay, Spence, okay. If they change that to a 0, it will automatically slow you down below 0.05 degrees a second. It'll go a lot below that even.
That's not what GNC says. That only affects.
He's wrong. Call AGC and ask them.
Well, have at it. That ought to end. You're telling me that rate affects both manual and auto, right?
That's
verb
yes,
16 didn't affect anything.
And if he tells you anything different, he's wrong.
Yeah, it's getting GNC flag. You got any comment on that?
I don't really think he did anything wrong with procedure flight. I got a feeling that there might have been something in the roll rate or roll attitude errors that messed him up.
But you say you were watching this and you didn't see any.
We didn't see any prior to the thing. We're going to get a playback to see what we saw when he first initiated it. We didn't see him.
Okay. Sam asked, not that I don't believe you, but would you just double check with AGC again?
Why don't I? Because they won't talk to me. You go to them. They're busy with PTC.
AGC won't talk.
They're busy with PTC problems, they said. Go ahead and talk to him. He's drifting. You might find out what's going on. He's not maneuvering to his attitude. Probably because he has pitch and yaw still in Excel Command. You might check with him. He's drifting away from where he should be.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. While you're waiting for the CSM to settle down and for us to look at the tapes on your latest maneuver, would you feel like answering some more questions with relation to the lunar surface? Over.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Roger, for $64,000, we're still trying to work out the location of your landing site, Tranquility Base. We think it is located on LAM-2 chart at Juliet decimal 5 and 7.8. Do you still have those charts on board? Over.
Yeah, stand by when they're packed.
Well, he may not have to unpack it, Capcom.
Roger, you may not have to unpack it. The position which I just gave you is slightly west of West Crater. I guess it's about 0.2 of a kilometer west of it. And we were wondering if Neil or Buzz had observed any additional landmarks during descent, lunar stay, or ascent, which would confirm or disprove this. One thing that we were wondering about is that if you were at this position, you would have seen the cat's paw during ascent just up to the north of your track. Over.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
We were looking for
Like
Cat
still,
Paw 2, thinking we were probably downrange beyond the Big Z. But I think that it's likely that that might have been West Crater that we went across in landing, but stand by.
Go ahead, Gary.
Would like to try to start again flight. We noticed he's in Excel Command now. Would like to go ahead and go auto maneuver to the attitude and try it again.
Where the thruster firings damped out?
No, we have to go through the 20-minute thing again. He's in manual control right now.
Okay. GNC wants to set it up for Mike and try it again, Captain.
Okay, isn't he setting up now?
That's what I thought he was doing.
No, he's just stayed where he was. He went to Excel Command when he Excel Command had the problem initiating it, and he hadn't done anything since.
So he has to go back to Ray Command?
We're hoping, Bruce, that our 16 millimeter film was working at that point in descent, and we'll be able to confirm our touchdown position. We thought that during ascent we might be able to pick up some recognizable objects close to the landing site, and we did see a number of small craters and crater rows and things like that, which we may be able to pick out after the fact, but we haven't been able to yet.
All right, Roger, and the next question from our panelist was Buzz. We recall that he reported seeing a laser upon AOS of the Earth the first rev after ascent, and we're wondering what color the beam was and if he could determine its approximate location with respect to the Earth. Over.
It was mostly white, perhaps a tinge of yellowish color to it, and it seems to be, as I recall it, the terminator of the Earth was toward the horizon, and seemed to be about a quarter to a third of the way down toward the terminator of the Earth from the opposite horizon. That's a third to a quarter Earth radii. Over.
Roger, and that puts it in the light side. Over.
Roger, yes, it was in the light side. The Earth was about a two-thirds lit Earth, with the terminator down toward the horizon. And now coming from the opposite limb of the Earth, the sunlit limb, coming down about 1/4 to 1/3 of a radius in from the limb, generally centrally located with respect to a line drawn perpendicular to the terminator that goes through the center. Over.
Roger, Buzz, we copy.
And I got pictures of that. I'm sure that'll show up. And I saw that too. It was a very bright spot of light, and I confirmed Buzz's observation of its position.
Okay, 11, very good. Now, with respect to the documented sample container, on television it appeared to us as though the samples for that container were in fact being selected in accordance with some thought or consideration being given to the rocks themselves. And we were wondering if you could give any further details from memory about any of these samples and the context of the material or the surface from which they were taken. Over.
Yes, if you remember, I initially started on the cut side of the limb that the TV camera was on, and I took a number of samples of rocks on the surface and several that were just subsurface. About 15 to 20 feet north of the limb. And then I recalled that area had been probably swept pretty well by the exhaust of the descent engine. So I crossed over to the southern side of the limb and took a number of samples from the area around the elongate double crater that we commented on, and several beyond that, and tried to take as many different types of rock types as I could see by eye as I could in the short time we had available. There were a number of other samples that I had seen earlier in our stroll around the limb that I had hoped to get back and pick up and put in the documented sample, but I didn't get those, and I'll be able to comment on those in detail when we get in a debriefing session.
Oh, Roger. Did you observe any small craters with conspicuously blocky rims? Over.
Well, aside from the real big one that we went over, I guess there were none in our area. I took a stroll back after putting up the P7 while Buzz was starting to unpack the documented sample. Took a stroll back to a crater behind us that was maybe 70 or 80 feet in diameter and 15 or 20 feet deep, and took some pictures of it. It had rocks in the bottom of pretty good size, considerably bigger than any that were out on the surface, but there was no, we apparently at 15 feet or so had not got below the regolith. We were essentially showing no bedrock, at least in the walls of the crater at that depth. Over.
Roger, we copy.
Oh, that's good. GNC blind. Oh, that's good. GNC blind. Has Mike set up that thing yet?
Negative, Flight. He hasn't. Would like to hold up for it a second. We've got some more instructions. We think we've got the problem here.
Problem where?
Just hold up on it.
Okay, thank you, Neil. That about wraps up the questions we have on hand for now.
Okay.
Yeah, this white colored laser beam is difficult to check out, though. Because white is a mixture from many different wavelengths, but most of the lasers are relatively pure monochromatic.
My compliments to the chef. The food's outstanding. This cream and chicken soup, I give at least 3 spoons.
Flight GNC.
Oh, okay. Cream of chicken.
Okay, we've concluded that the crew was correct, that the Verb 16 Noun 20 did affect, having that on the diski did affect initiation of PTC. Essentially what it did was load the computer's knowledge of the actual CDUs from the platform. So what we've got to do is the CDU 0, so the computer will now find out where the platform is sitting. CDU 0 is Verb 40, Noun 20, enter. Then we want to start this whole procedure over.
CDU what?
CDU 0.
Okay. And then start it all over again, huh?
Roger.
Start it all over.
Got that, Captain?
So Roger, so you want him to do a Verb 40 now and 20 now and then press on?
All right, yeah, start it over. And we agree that, I'm not sure I understand it yet, but Verb 16, 9, 20 in the diski does affect this thing.
GNC, Captain. You want him to do that Verb 40 now?
Yeah, Verb 40, Noun 20, enter, right, GNC?
That's affirmative, Flight.
And then start all over again, right?
That's correct.
Live FAO. Good. Down here on the...
Apollo 11, this is Houston, over.
Go ahead.
11, we concur that having Verb 16, Noun 20 up on the diski may well have had some effect on your PTC initiation. It looks like this would let the computer work with a knowledge of the actual CDU angles. What we'd like you to do is do a CDU 0, which is Verb 40, Noun 20, enter, and then start the PTC procedure again at step 2 with loading Verb 6, Noun 22, desired attitude, and the auto maneuver and all that, over.
Okay, the only thing I don't understand about that is why it took off at the rate it did. What rate should it have taken off at under that theory?
Stand by a minute, Mike.
I'm not sure that we can compute that. We'll try, Flight.
Isn't that same thing they went through the other night? It comes out 7/10 the other night. What did it come out this time?
That's the thing. We'd have to look at it and try to compute it. I don't know what it'd come to.
We'll try to compute it, Captain.
It looks like he's going to go ahead and follow our advice and
Okay.
wait for the numbers later.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
He's done the verb 40 down 20. The platform is now, or the CMC is now reading the platform correctly.
Okay. Flight FAO. Go.
I think we should be sure to tell him that when he does that second verb down, the verb 24, that he has a noun 01 showing up there instead of a noun 20.
Okay,
Just as a double check to make sure he doesn't goof it up again.
double check to make sure what?
He doesn't goof it up again.
Okay, go over there with Capcom. On your checklist, I'm sure he has one too.
11 CMP, this is Houston, over.
Go ahead, Houston.
Mike, over here on page 9-7 of your checklist where we're setting up PTC, there's been a note penciled in after wait 20 minutes for rates to damp. Do not monitor verb 16, noun 20. It turns out that the significance of that is that if you are monitoring 16, noun 20, then when you get down here in step 7, the second time you do a verb 24, you've got to reload the noun 01 to make it verb 24 and noun 01 enter before you load the 3 registers, over.
Roger that. I was just questioning the rate at which the maneuver would begin if that were not done.
Roger, we're still working on computing the rate for you.
Flight account.
Go.
We had to switch to Omni Theta, and he's going to go back to high gain antenna here. We're going to leave him.
Want him to go back to high gain?
Yeah.
What angles?
Just have him select react.
Okay. Capcom, would you ask him to select react?
Apollo 11, this is Houston. We'd like you to select react mode on the high gain antenna. Looks like we're about to lose you, over.
Flight fighter. Go ahead. Yep. Go ahead, fighter.
Cliff, the comment that I wanted to make to you when they were talking to the crew was that the best estimate that we have right now of where they were came from that rendezvous radar data. I just wanted to add that it really did help out. And that will be our best estimate until we see the geographical, photograph.
Okay. Yeah, I got all that. Surgeon recovery, my Luke.
Flight account.
Go ahead, Econ.
We've set up a network in a mode that gives maximum power to uplink voice. We could try and call on the blind and ask them to select an omni that's more favorable.
Okay. And which omni is that?
How to define this notion.
Okay, I get the message. Capcom, flight.
Tell me what you want to say.
Oh, you can phrase something appropriate, I think, there.
Don't you think they'll realize they've lost confidence?
Yeah, I would imagine so.
They got their squelch enabled and don't particularly want to say anything. Although one of the things
They were last heard, we told them to go to react on the high gain.
Yeah.
That may or may not have gotten through.
Were we weren't rolling at all there, GNC, were we? Had they stopped all their attitude rates?
flight account, they were moving around a good bit when we lost them.
GNC, flight.
Flight GNC.
Can you tell me if you were they getting ready to get set up for that PTC again, or can you make any sense out of what attitude motions they were going through?
I couldn't tell from the data that they were flight from the air-to-ground discussion.
This is Apollo Control at 152 hours, 9 minutes.
I couldn't tell.
At this time, the crew is getting the spacecraft set up to reinitiate the passive thermal control.
Primary display, they had 0.6 of a degree per second.
Apollo 11,
on 0.4 of a
currently
degree per second.
165,143 nautical miles from the
they
Earth,
hadn't even
and
started the whole
traveling at a speed of 4,142 feet per second. The flight plan has relatively few activities scheduled for now
19 minutes ago.
through the beginning of the crew sleep period tonight.
The motions seem to be more random than some deliberate.
We do have a
That's the firm
television
that wasn't
transmission
even in the control mode that we would expect
scheduled. I
to
believe
see,
the time on that is a little
He
after
wasn't in CMC control. He was still in Excel command and altering
8 p.m. Central Daylight
At
Time.
that time started it.
Okay, well, let's hold off here.
And we show the sleep period to begin at about 160 hours ground elapsed time, or a little less than 8 hours from now. We'll continue to stand by for any conversation with the crew. It has been relatively quiet for a good part of today. And we'll stand by for a call from the Capcom or from the spacecraft down to the ground.
Hey, oh, it's Dwight.
Flighty com.
Go ahead.
That acquisition was just momentary.
Okay, what do you suggest, Econ?
Just a moment over. Flighty com, all we can do is set up the best, most powerful voice uplink and give them a call on the line.
What do you want to tell them?
Just to try to acquire us on an antenna flight.
Well, I'm sure he's trying to do that.
Okay, then it's definitely good.
What time do we lose him?
1:51:54.
Apollo 11, this is Houston, broadcasting in the blind. If you read us, attempt to acquire on Omni antennas. Attempt to acquire us on Omni antennas if you read. This is Houston, out. Apollo 11, this is Houston, broadcasting in the blind. If you read, attempt acquisition on an Omni antenna. Attempt acquisition using an Omni antenna, over. Apollo 11, this is Houston, broadcasting in the blind. If you read, attempt contact using Omni antennas. Using an Omni antenna, this is Houston, out.
Network flight.
Flight network.
You don't have any downlink at all, except for that one short burst we got?
That's all we had, flight.
What are you on now, Goldstone?
That's permanent flight.
Okay.
This is Apollo Control at 152 hours, 29 minutes. In the process of reestablishing the passive thermal control with the spacecraft in a slow rotation, we have apparently lost high-gain lock-on. We expect that the crew will reacquire lock with the antenna once the passive thermal control is reestablished. At the present time, Apollo 11 is 164,320 nautical miles from the Earth, and the velocity is up now to 4,156 feet per second. We'll continue to stand by here for reacquisition of the spacecraft for reestablishment of high-gain lock-on.
Flight GNC.
Go.
I don't know.
Computation of the rate that we should have commanded from the DAP in order to correlate it with the rate the crew saw, in my opinion, is I don't think we can do it. The main reason I don't believe we can is that when these numbers got entered into the ACDUs, in other words, the computer thought it was out of attitude. We were way out of the deadband, and it was in all three axes, so we fared jets in three axes. So correlating that with a rate, I don't think we can do that. We do know that all the jets should have fired according to the way the procedure was done, because in pitch we were better than 200. The DAP thought we were better than 200 degrees out of attitude, and not incorrectly. It's just the way the GNN works.
But I don't understand, because the other night it seemed they had almost identical, the same situation, and they were able to come up with a rate.
Okay, well, I'm trying to find out what their situation was exactly the other night.
Check with Buck's log. He's one who was on.
Flight FAO.
Go FAO.
Be off the console for about 5.
Okay.
Apollo 11, this is Houston, broadcasting in the blind. If you read us, attempt acquisition using an Omni antenna. Attempt acquisition using an Omni antenna. This is Houston out.
Man, meet AFD on AFD conference.
GNC flight.
Flight GNC.
How far was he into the reset up on PTC when you lost data?
He hadn't even started flight.
Do you have any rates?
He had small rates at the time, in the order of half degree per second.
In order of a what?
Half degree per second. Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
The history is that the first one the other night was a 918 instead of a 920, which is a little different than this case.
Okay.
Hey, Goldstone. Apollo 11, this is Houston, radio check, over.
Network flight.
Flight network.
Goldstone the only one? You? Goldstone the only one? You? Sure you don't have a ground problem?
Nobody else looking for the bird has seen any downlink flights except for one momentary hit at Ascension in Madrid.
Well, we just got one there for about a few seconds.
Line.
Apollo 11, this is Houston. How do you read? Over.
Rod clear, Bruce. How many?
Roger. What antenna are you using?
Alright, what do you want to tell her?
Houston, Apollo 11 is calling you on the high gain. How do you read? Over.
Roger, loud and clear on the high gain.
We're okay for right now, Frank.
Okay, how about the switch?
Switch, Frank?
Yeah. Command reset.
So what's
We're
new?
okay for right now, Frank.
Oh, we were wondering what was new with you up there.
Our cap ground?
All very quiet. We're just sitting here letting the thruster firing damp down. When they get good enough, let us know and we'll start this PTC.
Roger.
Will do, and we don't really have any word for him on this rate thing. What sort of rates did he see? Did he say earlier?
Flight GNC on the recorders, we measured about 2.5 degrees per second.
Well, we're still pursuing that one. How about your thruster firings, GNC?
Nice to sit here and watch the Earth getting larger and larger and the moon smaller and smaller.
It's not quite there yet, Flight. They're still firing now and then.
Roger, we'll give you a call when your rates have damped down sufficiently, and we're unable at the present time to predict what rate you should have seen at your last attempt to initiate PTC. We saw about 2.5 degrees per second. Over.
Yeah, I believe that.
Flight Econ.
Go, Econ.
Okay, we're on the high gain now, and he would either have had to go to up telemetry command reset, or else we got our command in. He's all right for now.
Okay, how do you explain how we were out of comm there? If you got yours in. You know,
I
everything
think we
worked
should
right.
have a PTC program built into the
I think
computer. It could very well be right.
auto mode flight, and the antenna was just pointed the wrong way.
Okay.
GNC flight. Flight Econ.
Go ahead.
What we'd like to do once they initiate PTC is to go to a high gain antenna Omni Delta switching routine as opposed to Omni Bravo Omni Delta. And they're in pretty much the right mode to start it, except that they need to go to react on their mode switch, the high gain antenna. And they need to crank in some angles depending on which way they start their roll. They've normally initiated a positive roll, in which case we need to pitch of plus 30 and a yaw of 270. In react mode, we're all set up for PTC.
Okay, and you have the angles for if they go negative roll?
I do. It's pitch of minus 40 and yaw of 90. 90.
Okay. You want to configure it for react and high gain instead of Omni Bravo, right?
That's affirmative. And we can do that anytime, or if we know what we know what direction they're going to roll in, they can set it up anytime.
Okay. GNC, flight.
Flight GNC.
Yeah, can you tell me what we need to do, what remains to be done to get the PTC started?
We have to wait until the rates get down low enough to be acceptable. At that time we can start rolling it up.
Okay, everything else is configured.
That's affirmative.
Properly. The disky and all.
That's affirmative.
Okay.
The disky entries that goofed us up last time aren't downstream yet.
You mean they have to go through those before they get the PTC set up?
Affirmative.
Okay. Is that's done prior to starting the roll rate, Tim?
That action is the action that starts the roll rate.
Okay. Capcom plug.
Go ahead, Dwight.
Did you copy the words from ECOM about using high gain instead of Omni Bravo?
Roger. I understand he wants to go into the react, and I've got the pitch and yaw angles.
Okay. GNC plug.
Flight GNC.
What's your criteria for deciding that we're ready to go into the PTC?
Rates less than 0.005 degrees per second.
0.005.
Firm. When we get in that region flight, we have to compute them manually. We don't have that kind of granularity on the tubes here.
Yeah.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
When Cliff was on, we were discussing whether we had the same situation today that we had the other evening, setting up PTC. And we've concluded that we don't. This time we loaded the CMC's knowledge of the spacecraft position. Now last time we loaded commanded rate differently. So it's two different cases, and coming up with a rate, I think, is going to be hard because we were out when we loaded these attitudes. We were outside of the attitude deadband.
It didn't sound like a very good thing to do, did it?
No, but we were requested to come up with a rate number, a number in degrees per second in terms of what we should have seen. And what I'm saying is we can't because we have a different case.
Okay.
You know, the other night.
Yeah, you're saying it's more complicated than just the fact that we were outside the limits. You can't compute what the commanded rate to get back inside the deadband would have been.
That's firm.
Okay. How did we end?
When we loaded the actual CDU angles, which is the computer's knowledge of the spacecraft position with respect to the platform, it was just like a big step. The computer thought that the vehicle had changed position by something like 200 degrees, when it really did. Which is a different case than we had the other night. The other night we were intending to command a 0.3 degree rate, and we indeed commanded 0.8 or 0.9.
Okay, did the crew on board load these values in that showed that they were outside of the deadband? I mean, that apparently told the GNN that we're in a bad we're in a bad position. Get us back to the right.
That's affirmative. That was a procedural problem, and we confirmed that that was the case by looking at. We have those cores on telemetry, and we looked at the actual CDUs and compared them versus some analog numbers that we have that tells us where the spacecraft is pointing, and they were in disagreement. And we did a verb 4920, and lo and behold, the actual CDUs came into agreement after we did that. So that's pretty good assurance, real good assurance that our postulated procedure was correct.
Okay. Have you were you following the air-to-ground conversation following that, and are you satisfied that the crew understands what caused the problem?
Affirmative. Although I think the crew expects us to give them a rate number, and we can't do it.
Okay, but that as long as they're aware of what
the one they saw
did wrong, and that
right, and the rate that they saw is not particularly unusual.
Okay, I was surprised that any mode would give us a commanded rate as high as 2 degrees.
I'm sorry, flight, I left.
Okay, I'm just surprised that any rate or anything would command a rate greater than 2.5 degrees or up that high.
Well, let's see if we can get a limit number in terms of what the maximum CMC would command.
Okay. Ecom flight. Ecom flight.
Flight econ, call.
Raj. We don't, we can do this TV right through the PTC rolling here, I assume, right?
I believe that's what's planned now, flight.
Yeah. Okay.
It'd be kind of pointless to set it up now, we wouldn't, so I guess it looked like it'd be better to go ahead and hold a stable attitude, but I think we're planning right now to do it through PTC.
Okay, and you can get all that through the Omnis, I assume?
No, can't do that through the Omnis. Gonna lose it when we're on the Omnis.
How much of the turn are we going to get high gain on? Half of it?
About half of it, yeah. Be about 10 minutes of whack, and then 10 minutes without it.
This is Apollo Control at 153 hours, 7 minutes.
How much TV are we
At the present time, we are
expecting to get here?
changing shifts here in Mission Control.
So we'll give that 10 minutes.
Flight Director
AFD.
Gene Kranz will be coming on to relieve Flight Director Clifford Charlesworth.
That's what he
The capsule communicator on this shift will be astronaut Charlie Duke. There will be a change of shift briefing in the news center in the Building 1 auditorium in about 10 minutes.
Even though the flight benefit doesn't show it that way.
At the present time, Apollo 11 is
Who's we?
traveling at a speed of 4,185 feet per second. The spacecraft is about 162,700 nautical miles from the Earth.
And also I talked to GNC about it.
During the change of shift briefing, we will take the
we're gonna
circuit
PTC
down,
for about
record any
2 hours or
conversation
so,
that
and then
develops
stop
with
it
the spacecraft and play it back following the change of shift briefing.
There seems to be no problem. Well,
At 153 hours, 9 minutes, this is Apollo
if they
Control
don't mess
Houston.
up, there's no problem with doing that.
That's the way it always is.
That's right.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
I understand that PTC last night that they initiated did take 45 minutes to settle out before they got started to roll. The one we did this morning took 40 minutes.
And how long have we been in this one? About 20 minutes?
A sense acquisition flight, that's
That's about 25 minutes, and I don't know how long is in it before you acquire a flight.
and we're not damped yet.
Network flight.
Flight network.
Hey, can you give me some idea how long it would take you to get prepared to do a TV pass?
We can get the lines with 1 hour's notice. However, the Building 8 operators, it would take several hours flight.
2 to 3 hours to round them up and have them on station.
Okay, they're expecting to be set up for the 1:55:30 pass, right? Are you telling me I really can't beat that time if I started right now?
I don't think you could, Flight. I can check if you'd
Well,
like
how
to
about
try.
checking them in?
Wilco. Flight Network.
Go ahead.
Have you got any kind of specific time in mind?
No, I'm trying to find out from you some values.
Okay, we're attempting to get hold of the TV people right now and see whether they're on site already or what our status is exactly. It may be that they're on and checking it out already.
Okay, you understand the situation is here. We hadn't started PTC, and we're a couple hours away from when the TV passes. It's sort of wonder why you're going through getting all set up for PTC if you're going to stop it in a couple hours anyway. And there's some reasons for going ahead and maybe doing a TV early as long as we're stopped, and then just starting a PTC after.
Okay, well,
This is Apollo Control.
Through detector
153 hours, 49 minutes, ground elapsed time.
but we
Apollo
were told it
11,
was going to go on.
homeward bound, is now 161,050 nautical miles out from Earth. Velocity now 4,216 feet per second.
Hey, would you ask people
Some
back
3.5
in
minutes
what kind of constraints we got on staying in
recorded
altitude?
air-to-ground transmissions have accumulated during the recent change of shift press conference here in the Apollo News Center. Let's play that tape back now.
Houston, Apollo 11.
GNC flight.
Go ahead, 11.
GNC flight.
All right, just checking the radios, and how's the doctor activity coming?
Second. .03.
11 Houston, the radios are still in good shape, and we're still waiting for your rates to decay. We've got .03 degrees per second in pitch now.
Okay, we're in no rush. This is a very pleasant attitude. As a matter of fact, the sun is down in the LEB, so it's not shining through the windows and heating the place up. We've got the Earth steady out window 1. We have the moon steadily out window 3, and of course we're locked up on the high gain. So as long as the thermal people are happy, we're happy.
Roger, we copy.
Flight Network.
Go ahead, Network.
I'll be with you shortly. We're still talking AT&T about lines.
Okay.
Flight Network. Flight Network.
Go ahead.
We can be ready by 1:54. Be ready by 1:54.
Without any penalty? We paying any premium price for that?
The word I have is that we do not pay any premiums for that flight because it's a continental circuit.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you want us to press on for that time?
Negative. I just wanted that information. That's something to store and use if we need it, okay?
Well,
unless
we start right now.
Okay, what's the lag time? Apparently it's
You
about
have to
30.
tell me to go right now if you want me ready at 1:54.
Okay, so you're telling me I got about a 30-minute delay between when we decide and when we get it, right?
That's about right. That's affirmative.
Okay.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
We're ready to start PTC here.
Okay. Capcom flight.
You sure you want to start it?
Yeah, let's stick with the schedule.
You're sticking with the schedule on
Right,
TV.
that's right.
Do you mind if I ask him to make the disk key entries slowly so we can follow him on TM?
No, let's do that. Ecom, go ahead.
Are we going to start PGC?
Yeah. Are you ready for it? Capcom, hold off just a second here.
Flight Ecom.
Go ahead, Ecom.
45 says that in the attitude we're in now, Quad C will be heated up near the limit in about 2.5 hours, but we could roll 90 degrees either way and be good for 3 hours or more, which would carry us well beyond the TV.
Okay, and you look like you're objecting, or you'd rather not go into PTC.
I don't have any particular objection to it. I just don't, if we're going to stop it, it seems kind of pointless to start it for this period. Of course, if we're going to roll anyway, we might as well do it, frankly.
Okay. GNC, flight.
Flight GNC.
You are definitely ready to proceed with the PTC. Is that correct?
It's firm. The rates are low.
Okay. Capcom, let's go ahead. Let's do the normal 310.
Before we actually have set it up, let's read up that high gain antenna stuff that we read.
Oh, Roger. Forgot about that.
Apollo 11, this is Houston, over.
Go ahead, Houston.
Okay, 11, we're about ready to start PTC. I'd like to give you some high gain antenna angles. Well, we'd like to operate in the react mode, and do you plan on spinning up in the positive or negative direction, over?
We can do it either way. I had planned the positive.
Okay, for positive, the high gain antenna setting should be pitch plus 30, yaw 270, and in react, over.
Understand, react, pitch plus 30, yaw 270, thank you.
Roger, and if you would, when you're making your disk key entries to set up for PTC, go a little slower, and we'll try to follow each entry from down here, over.
Roger that.
GNC, flight.
Hey, GNC.
Did I see a yaw rate creeping in there?
I sure do.
Got any explanation for that?
Drawing flight.
It looks to me like we didn't get started very good, didn't it?
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
We're correlating that with the nozzle temperature on the urine heater.
You say you are, or you're trying to?
Ecom.
Flight, it looks like that they may be dumping a little.
Well, that's been down to 50 degrees for about, at least 5 minutes or longer.
Flight Econ.
Go ahead.
It definitely is going down. I think it's been about 55, and then I don't know how long ago it started down, but it did start down a little bit.
Okay, I looked at it specifically about 5 or 10 minutes ago, and it was 50 degrees.
Okay.
GNC, flight.
Flight GNC.
Can you tell me whether or not we blew it or not? I mean, is this going to work out or not?
We're looking at it, flight. It'll take a little while now since he's already started.
Yeah, okay.
He's expanding the dead band right now.
Okay. And we do have rates in all 3 axes here, about 2/10 degree, right?
That's firm.
Can you tell me if we have thruster firings other than those you expected?
No,
the only thruster firings we saw were the ones that rolled it up because that rate got in there before he enabled it.
Houston 11, TCC is down.
We didn't do a deadband, so we didn't get thruster firings. But that's where the rate came from, we suspect is external to the thrusters.
The rates look pretty good right now.
So we'll plot at flight and see what it looks like for the first rev. That'll be pretty good.
Okay, you're going to plot pitch and yaw? Pitch versus yaw, you mean?
Firm.
Okay.
The urine nozzle temp is down to 46.
Flight FAO.
Go ahead.
On this PTC, we are planning to stop it again for TV anyway, so I don't. That might be something to consider. You could at least let it go that long.
Yeah.
GNC procedures on AFT conference. GNC procedures on AFT conference.
11 Houston, we observe the PTC to be fairly well established here, and we'll keep you posted on how it's going. And your friendly white team commentator is taking over now.
Okay, thank all you black team.
That was the green team.
Correction, all you green team. Correction, green team, excuse me.
Roger out.
How could I forget? I used to be a green one. Hello, Apollo 11 Houston. Your white team is now on. We're standing by for an exciting evening of TV and a free sleep report, over.
Capcom FAO on SSRT.
You're on flight director.
Can you tell me what that was?
Apollo 11 Houston, you sure you don't have anybody else in there with you? Houston, Apollo 11, say again, please. We had some strange noises coming down on the downlink, and sound like you had some friends up there.
Flight network. Okay. Goldstone says that was on the downlink.
Where'd the white team go during their off hours anyway? Say again?
Anyway, we can verify that from another source.
Flight network. Okay. We can work that. All right.
Flight. Mid-course 5 was what, 3 or 4 feet per second? You have that thing?
It was 4.8.
Can you check that right quick, please?
Yes, sir, Flight. It was 4.8. Over Delta B.
Okay, thank you. Capcom Flight.
Go ahead.
Can you identify the noises on the downlink?
Can I identify that? Yeah, it sounds like they're ready for the funny farm to me. I asked them if they had anybody else along with them, but they didn't comment on it.
Flight network. Go. Okay, we have a video interface with Goldstone. Everything is ready to go except R1 item 4, and I have an ETO at 10 minutes on it.
Okay, we're about an hour and a half from scheduled pass, right?
As soon as the item 4 is ready, we will be ready for go at any time.
Okay, good. Thanks.
This is Apollo Control. Still no explanation of the weird noises emanating from Apollo 11, if indeed it is from Apollo 11, and it's reported from network that it's being received on the downlink at 2 different stations in the manned spaceflight network. Perhaps it will all shake out later in the mission as to what these strange noises are. We'll come back up again as conversation is resumed with Apollo 11. Now 160,410 nautical miles out from Earth, traveling at 4,228 feet per second. At 154 hours, 5 minutes ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control.
GNC Flight.
Flight GNC.
Yeah, you come.
Roger. I'm going to say that the PTC looks real good. We've got about 3.5 degrees coning angle. It's on channel 65 if you'd like to look.
Okay. Okay, we started in the middle there and we're out in the middle there right now, right? Or pitch, rather.
That's right.
Okay.
First, it looks like it's going to have a little loop in it. Hopefully come in back down around 0 pitch, maybe a little below it.
Okay. You're going to keep working that clock?
Roger, we'll carry that for a rev or so until we're pretty sure it's stable. Okay.
Flight network.
Go ahead.
Okay, when we get ready to go here, the raw video will be on channel 51. The process will be on channel 77, and the color monitors, it'll be on channel 4.
51, 77, and 4?
4, that's perfect. 4 is on these small color monitors. Like.
Oh, okay.
Flight data.
Go ahead, Pat.
About to get a checkpoint.
Okay, checkpoint. Yeah, go ahead. Retro flight.
Flight control retro.
Right. Sometime before the crew goes to sleep tonight, I understand we pass them up a couple of paths. Is that right?
The flight plan has nominal 646 entry path.
Roger.
Right now we're looking at a tenth of a foot per second for 646, so I suggest you get minimum entry path based on our current trajectory.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking at now, unless something changes, then we take into
Okay, it looks like you're about the only one with any planned activity tonight.
Just about. That's about it, everything. That's about it. It's still looking good.
All right, PAO, checkpoint complete.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Ecom flight.
Flight econ, Colin.
Yeah, that your nozzle temperature has been low for a long time. Isn't that a little unusual?
It is a little unusual flight. Flight, let me look into it and I'll see if I can get you a story on it, but I don't know what I can tell you other than it's been there quite a while. Been there quite a while. Like it's extraordinarily long to be done.
Flight network.
Go ahead.
LOS.
Roger. Go flight?
Flight Inco, go ahead. Flight Inco, go ahead. We sent reset there. We should have acquired and react. We can confirm react on a switch position when we get him again. That's all. It shouldn't, if we had auto and we drove up in the shadow zone last time, we should be sitting over there on the other side and we should get it in about 8 minutes. And should have that position. And react, it should be acquiring.
Okay. Didn't we have react called up there?
That's firm flight. We called up react when we started the PTC, but he might have held off until after PTC initiated to go there.
Inco flight. Inco flight.
Flight econ.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. Is there nothing I can do here to try to get an antenna back?
Flight econ, we're dropping the uplink and hopefully we're dropping it. Check it loose. It may be locked on the side lobe.
Okay.
That usually brings it back.
Okay.
AOS flight.
Roger.
Flight network.
Okay.
We fed LOS again.
Yeah.
Flight econ, we're dropping the uplink again. Trying again.
Okay.
Flight network.
Go ahead.
I'd like to recycle a CP, so we'll follow.
Okay.
Roger.
Flight econ.
Go ahead.
We'd like to go around one more time on this. However, this time when we get them, acquire the crew, we'd like to ask them to monitor and be sure that we do acquire next time around.
Okay.
And then, like I said, if it don't work, we'll go back down to Bravo.
Okay, we're going around about 3 times an hour, is that right?
That's affirmative.
Okay.
Flight network.
Flight RTC, give me flight control mode.
Right.
Control mode.
Go ahead, network.
CP is up.
Okay. Ecom flight.
Flight econ.
Out of reacquire on Omni D here shortly, shouldn't I?
No, we're getting close to the time, but we won't acquire on Omni D because we're selecting the high gain.
How are we going to get them back?
Well, hopefully we'll pass through where the high gain antenna is.
Oh, yeah, toward the end of the
toward the
viewing angle for the high gain, right?
We don't, we just have to wait till they want to say something.
Flight network, the Goddard CP is down.
Roger.
Flight network.
Go.
Disregard my last, that was his offline system that went down. We still have a good online system.
Okay, I was just going to time you, see how long you get it back now.
Sorry about that.
Fido flight.
Go flight.
Hey, how often are you updating your trajectory estimate?
How often are we updating the thermos?
Yeah, let me rephrase that. How often do you update your entry conditions estimates?
Well, it's been a little while. Right now we're anchored on a
a vector that was prior to mid-course 5. And it's going to be at least another hour and a half before we get an update that will leave.
Okay. Does this intermittent data seriously perturb what you're doing down here?
Yes, it does. It makes the DC program blow its mind almost.
I was afraid of that.
The best thing that can happen to us is if we get some good PTC and then go to sleep here for about 8 hours, and then we get some good data.
If we're lucky, they don't do that.
Right.
This is Apollo Control. 154 hours, 53 minutes.
Hold on.
Ground elapsed time, 40 hours, 9 minutes to entry.
You're going to try to stick
Apollo 11, homeward bound, 158,378 nautical miles out from Earth. Velocity now 4,267 feet per second.
Verify react. Yeah, and
We have some 3 minutes of tape accumulated over the past half hour of other minor conversations with the crew of Apollo 11. We'll roll these tapes now.
About 2 minutes when we go. And we'll give them a call when we go.
Apollo 11, Houston, over. Roger, would you we've lost comm with you for about the last 10 minutes. Would you verify that the S-band track switch is in REAC, over?
Negative, it's not. Last time we blew clock, we went to auto and I left it there. Sorry.
Roger, we'd like to have you to put it in REACT and monitor. In about 2 minutes, we'll be coming up on the high gain. Would you monitor the REACT? If it doesn't take, acquire manually, over?
Okay, take any angles you'd like.
We'll try to switch it ourselves. Stand by on the angle.
30.
Yeah, same angle.
Pitch plus 30, yaw 270.
Buzz, it's pitch plus 30, yaw 270, over.
Roger, I got him.
Thank you.
Okay.
Flight Capcom, have they inquired about an attitude? Do they want the Earth and one they want the other one? Can we give them an attitude and have
Both?
You mean for the TV?
Yeah.
I'm sure we can do that. Econ flight.
Go flight.
Hey, can you tell me if our water production rate is nominal?
That's firm flight.
And was there any further words on the urine nozzle temperature? Urine nozzle down and below.
Telling the ECS guy in the back room, he doesn't think that's abnormal. We saw the thing down for a couple hours last night, and he's going to pick up some plots and see what he's making.
Okay, it was certainly a lot higher than that on the way out, and
That's firm flight. But we noticed it last night when they were dumped. There was a 2-hour period where we stayed there, and it's back at the 56 now.
Yeah.
Body count, we're going down. The high gain now.
Okay.
CAO Capcom flight right? What time is it all on? It has? No kidding. It's delayed.
Body count.
Good, Econ.
Rod, we're ready to terminate charge on battery 8.
Okay.
Hello, Apollo 11, Houston. Would you please
to terminate battery charge now, over.
Roger, terminating battery charge.
Flight, we get that attitude yet?
Not yet. Flight, we have an attitude for number one at the Earth. They're trying to come up with one. With the moon out one and the Earth out one, we're not even sure yet we can do that. We're still checking.
Hello, Apollo Houston. Any special attitude you'd like us to look at for the TV, over?
I don't guess we have a requirement there, John.
Roger, we have an attitude that we can get the Earth out of a window, or the moon. We're trying to find one that we can get both, if that's what you'd like, over.
Our 50-degree roll attitude will probably give us that, John.
Roger.
That's a good one because it puts the Earth out window 1 and the moon out window 3, and it puts the sun down the LEB, so the lighting in here remains relatively constant.
Roger, well, we'll just stop on the 50 roll in, and we'll give you the word when to do that, over.
Okay.
Flight, Fido.
Go, Fido.
Okay, we're ready to bring up that other machine anytime we have a...
This is Apollo Control, and that completes the accumulation of air-to-ground communications.
Go ahead.
By means of tape recordings over the last half hour or so. It's quiet right now. No conversation going on between spacecraft communicator Charlie Duke and the crew of Apollo 11. And at 154 hours 57 minutes ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control.
Flight Fido, we're on 2 computers.
Okay, thank you. Ecom flight. Ecom GNC. Ecom flight.
GNC.
Negative, I'm calling negative.
Go ahead, flight.
As I just looking in here in the flight plan, there's a little note about wiping water off the tunnel area. Have we done that at all during this flight, or have we heard any reports on it?
We've heard no comment from the area flight at all.
Okay. And that's something new. Is that because we took all that insulation off the hatch?
That's firm flight.
GNC flight.
Flight GNC.
Hey, Buck, I was wondering about that incident that occurred during the docking. Were we taking in data at the time that docking occurred? Like, can we get something to show the same things that the crew reported, the attitude excursion?
I don't think we had good data at the time, and I don't know what the status of DSA dump was after that. Stand by one and I'll find out.
Okay.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
Talking to the ECOMs here, I guess the other team went through all of that data today sometime, and the DSE from that period, there was no DSE. I turned off the recorder at AOS, and the real-time data was pretty ratty. If I can find in the log here, talking to them, where the other team did go through some kind of an exercise on it today. I don't know what the details were. It looks pretty sketchy though.
Okay, I missed what you said about the DSE data.
Okay, the DSE was turned off at AOS, so there was no recording during that period.
Yeah, that's figures, doesn't it? Well, GNC, what are we, have we got any kind of position on that? What's our version of what happened there?
Well, all I really have here, Flight, is just a report of what the crew gave. And as far as the position, I don't really know of any. We have no reason to think that the CSM had any problems in it.
Well, it certainly isn't normal for it to yaw 15 degrees when we retract the probe.
No, I agree there. Okay, Flight, that was a possible explanation.
Okay, but my understanding was that CNC was in free mode.
This is Apollo Control. 155 hours, 27 minutes ground elapsed time. Coming up now about 3 minutes away from the tonight's television pass. It'll be through the 85-foot antenna at the Goldstone
tracking station. The 210-foot dish out there is tied up tracking one of the Mars flyby missions. We have some 20 seconds of tape accumulated. We'll play that back and rejoin the conversation live.
Apollo 11, Houston. We'll have high gain coverage about 155.30 that time. You can turn on the TV if you desire and continue your roll around till you get 50 degrees roll. Over.
Are we going to stop PTC?
Roger.
Okay, do we care if we collapse the dead band?
GNC flight.
How do you want to GNC flight?
Got a question. I'm stopping the PTC. Got a certain procedure you want on that, and specifically, do you care if we collapse the deadband?
Negative. Collapsing the deadband doesn't matter. It'll come out just the normal checklist procedure. Will be all set.
Apollo 11, Houston. We're going to give you the All-Star game tonight, but it was rained out. Over.
By the time we're on the high gain, they can start the TV anytime.
Okay. Network flight. Network flight. Network flight. Network flight.
Flight network.
Okay, yeah, we're getting ready to start the TV here. You ready to go?
You ready to go?
11, Houston, we're on a high gain. You can warm up the FM if you'd like. Over.
GNC flight.
This is Apollo Control, still standing by for the incoming television signal from Columbia. Still nothing but the color bar test pattern as of now.
GNC flight.
Continuing to stand by on air, ground, and television links.
Hey, Buck, what are you showing now for a RCS quantity compared to the pre-flight prediction?
Flight network.
In total, we're still down just about 15.
Goldstone standing by for the TV.
Say again.
We're down just about 15 pounds in total.
Total?
Right. If you want it broken down by quads, I can get that in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay.
Apollo 11, Houston, we see you coming up on 50 roll. How does that attitude look? Over.
Flight side, I would like to get a quick checkpoint.
ECOM, GNC, checkpoint.
Go.
Go flight.
Okay, final.
All right.
Apollo 11, Houston, we're ready for the TV. We're all configured at your convenience. Over.
Flight side, checkpoint complete.
Roger.
This is Apollo Control. While we're waiting for the television pictures to come in, we have in the control room here a vase full of long-stemmed red roses with a card saying, "To one and all concerned, job superbly done," from a moonstruck Canadian. Continuing to stand by as we wait for the pictures to come from Columbia. Here they come.
Okay, Goldstone STV, there it is, Goldstone STV there.
Houston, Apollo 11, over. Roger, go ahead, 11, over. Are you picking up our TV signal? That's affirmative. We have it up on the IDA-4 now. The focus is a little bit out. We see the Earth in the center of the screen. Still have a little white dot in the bottom of the camera, apparently. And see some land masses in the center. At least I guess that's what it is. It's very hazy at this time on our IDA-4, over. Let me change. I believe that's where we just came from. It is, huh? Well, I'm really looking at the bad, at a bad screen here. Stand by one. Hey, you're right.
Not bad enough. Not finding you on the right landing spot.
Now. What?
It's not bad enough not finding the right landing spot. We haven't got the right planet.
I'll never live that one down. We're making it get smaller and smaller here to make sure that it really is the one we're leaving. Oh, that's enough, you guys. 11, that was a good picture there. Okay, that's enough of the moon. Okay, that's enough of the moon, Charlie. We're getting set up now for some inside pictures. Right. Now there's a lot of scientists from a number of countries standing by to see the lunar samples, and we thought you'd be interested in seeing that they really are here. These two boxes are the sample return containers. They're vacuum-packed containers that were closed in a vacuum on the lunar surface, sealed, and then brought inside the LEM and put inside these fiberglass bags, zippered and resealed around the outside, and placed in these receptacles in the side of the command module. These are the two boxes, and as soon as we get onto the ship. I'm sure these boxes will immediately be transferred and delivery started to the litter receiving laboratory. These boxes include the samples of the various types of rock, the ground mass of the soil, the sand and silt, and the particle collector for the solar wind experiment, and the core tubes that took depth samples of the lunar surface.
Roger, Neil. Thank you much for that description. We've got a pretty dark picture down here. Could you check your f-stop? We'd like you to have it, see if you could open it up a little bit, over.
Okay, our monitor showed that to be very bright. Yeah, we're down around around F4, which we thought would be plenty light. We'll lighten it up some more.
Well, we'd appreciate it. It's pretty dark on all our monitors here.
Okay, fine.
That's looking a lot better now, Neil. There's Buzz. Houston, we have an excellent picture now, over.
How do you read me, Charlie?
5 by now, Buzz, over.
Okay. More mundane affairs. Now that we've left the moon, I'd like to trace through a little bit for you. Developments that have taken place in the food department. I'm sure you've always type of a drink container. A little later, Mike will show you how the water gun operates with its new filter to take out hydrogen. Essentially, this water gun is put in this end and filled up this bag with water, and the drink then dissolves in the water, and this end of the mouth feeding. Likewise, we have other foods that are more solid nature. You can probably see this shrimp cocktail meal. This afternoon, while the two of us had salmon salad. Another early development was the use of bite-sized food.
11, Houston, Buzz, you're breaking up badly. Would you check your Vox, over?
Roger, how am I coming through now, Charlie?
Roger, you're very clear when you come through. It's just that your Vox is not keying at every word, over.
Okay. These bite-sized objects were designed to remove the problem of having so many crumbs floating around in the cabin. So they designed a particular size that would be able to go into the mouth all at once. I think since all of our experience, we've discovered that we can progress a good bit further than that back to some of the type meals that we have on Earth. As a matter of fact, on this flight, we've carried along pieces of bread, and along with the bread, we have a ham spread. And I'll show you, I hope, how easy it is to spread some ham. Environment of 0G. We've discovered that it is quite easy to all very familiar with.
Slightly. Very good. Go ahead.
flight. He's drifting out quite a bit and rolling.
Okay. What do you look
About a
at?
half a year a second. We go past one now, it's probably going to 100 now.
Got down about the roll rate. So it's getting up there.
Apollo 11, Houston, we notice your roll rate increasing. Would you please see if you can bring that down to about 0 for us? So we'll be losing a high gain shortly, over.
We can also use zero gravity to demonstrate many things that we've all learned in school. I'd like to demonstrate briefly how easy it is to explain the action of a gyroscope. If I spin this can, we know that according to the equations of motion, that we would expect that if once this is given a spin and has a spin axis in this direction, if we give it a particular torque, and I'll do this by pushing my hands against it in this fashion once it's spinning, by the equations we can predict that as I put this torque on it, it will in fact rotate this direction. Let's see how well this works out. As I applied the torque this way, it rotated this way. Too close, I think.
Houston, it's a pretty good demonstration.
Houston, this next is a little demonstration for the kids at home, all kids everywhere for that matter. I was going to show you how you drink water out of a spoon, but I'm afraid I filled the spoon too full, and if I'm not careful, I'm going to spill water right over the sides. Can you see the water slopping around in the top of the spoon, kids?
That's affirmative, 11.
Okay, well, as I say, I was going to show you, but I'm afraid I filled it too full, and it's going to spill over the side. I tell you what, I'll just turn this one over and get rid of the water and start all over again, okay?
Okay.
And you can see up here we don't know where over is. One up is as good as another. That really is water, though, I'll show you. That's really not the way we drink. We really have a water gun, which I'll show you. There's the water gun. This cylindrical thing on the end of it is a filter with several membranes. One allows water to pass, but not any gas. The other allows gas to pass, but not any water. So by routing the gaseous water, which comes from our tank, through this filter, we're enabled to drink purified water without the gas in it, filtered water. And of course, all we do to get it started is just pull the trigger. Sort of messy. I haven't been at this very long. It's the same system that the Spaniards used to drink out of wineskins at bullfights. Only I think this is even more fun. Well, be seeing you, kids.
Thank you from all the kids in the world here in the Moker who can't tell the Earth from the Moon.
All right, just stand by one and we'll get you that Earth for you.
Looks like you need a wineskin up there, Mike.
That'd be nice. Okay,
K11, Houston.
you have a picture now, Houston?
That's affirmative. I refuse to bite on this one, though. You tell us.
Okay, this should be getting larger, and if it is, it's the place we're coming home to.
Roger.
No matter where you travel, it's always nice to get home.
We concur, 11. We'd be happy to have you back.
It's Apollo 11, signing off.
Flight network.
Okay.
Can we secure it?
Roger.
Here we go again, flight on the PTC. It's the same thing we had going translunar. Are we gonna blow it again, or blow it again? I guess we better start over again, huh, Buck?
Kind of out of our hands at this point, right? Ecom flight.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, we're just getting ready to go back to the PC again. I want to know if you got any comments or anything we need to do before we start that, as far as you're concerned.
Negative, Mike.
Okay, the same comm setup we had before.
Right.
This is Apollo Control. Still up live with the air-to-ground circuit to Apollo 11, homeward bound. They're now in the passive thermal control mode, or barbecue mode.
Capcom, we're not.
Charlie Duke's going to make another call to the crew. Let's listen in a moment. He's discussing with Flight Director Pete Frank, who tonight is expelling Gene Krantz on the shift, although Gene is here.
He's calling it up again.
Yeah, he's loading. 49 now, please.
All right.
They're discussing some adjustments to the passive thermal control mode. Apollo 11 has left the moon some 53,666 miles behind it.
Somebody about the weather in the MPO.
And relative to the moon, Apollo 11 is traveling now at 4,306 feet per second. Continue to monitor air-ground here until the crew settles down. They're not scheduled to go into their rest period until about another 4 hours from now.
Apollo 11, Houston, we were curious to see if there was any excess moisture up around the tunnel hatch area as we saw on 10 over.
Just so happens that what we were talking about now. There is a little bit of dampness around the outside edge of the hatch, but very, very slight amount. We've got a hose up there that we're hoping will sort of help keep it a little bit dry.
Roger. Mike, thank you much. Have you seen any more water collecting on the aft bulkhead, over?
No, we haven't, as a matter of fact. It's been dry in that area since we got rid of that last time.
Roger. Thank you.
Apollo 11's back in PPC attitude, standing by for thruster gliding.
Roger, we see that. Thank you much, Mike.
This is Delta Launch Control. We have postponed the launch of the Delta vehicle tonight, launch of Intelsat 3, 24 hours. The reason for this postponement is to examine the second stage propellant ground equipment. There is a slight chance that the acid used in the second stage for an oxidizer, inhibited red fuming nitric acid, could have contained an excessive level of contaminants. This possibility is remote, but there is a desire to make the examination. During fueling today, it was noticed that the transfer of the inhibited red fuming nitric acid took longer than expected or longer than normal. In examining the ground equipment, it was found that a filter element had dislodged and had traveled approximately 2 feet into the line. There is a need now to ensure that, in fact, the displacement of this filter was what caused the slowdown, and also a need now to analyze the IRFNA, or inhibited red fuming nitric acid, to ensure that no contamination is evident. The launch has been rescheduled for 24 hours from now, or 24 hours from 10 p.m. tonight. This has been cleared with the range. We have the same launch window tomorrow night, 10 p.m. to 11:10 p.m. This is Delta Launch Control.
This is Apollo Control. Apparently, there will be little conversation during the next half hour or so. Apollo 11 now 155,000, as you were, yes, 155,906 nautical miles out from Earth, approaching at a velocity of 4,316 feet per second. And at 156 hours, 6 minutes, ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control.
GNC, fine.
GNC.
Okay, we'll just stand by for a word from you on these rates.
This is Apollo Control. After first saying that there would be very little conversation, it seems there's quite a flurry of conversation between the ground and Apollo 11. Let's play back tapes and catch up and go live.
Houston, Apollo 11, could you get a little summary of the evening news for us?
Yes, sir. We'll have it for you momentarily. Also, a little flight plan update, Mike. If you, on page 3113, you can delete the O2 fuel cell purge, over.
Will do.
There is a flurry of activity in the PAO site for the evening news.
Willie. How's the weather down there? You got any rain?
Raj, we've been having a little bit thunderstorm type in the last couple of days. We had pretty good rain today. Yeah, it's been overcast. A slow storm system's been moving through the area in the last couple of days, and primarily evening and afternoon thunder showers.
Right. We were watching a few clouds in your area through the binocular along Texas Gulf Coast this afternoon, and we also noticed there were clouds over Baja California, which is a little bit unusual.
Right, thank you for the weather report. We can't quite see that far. it seems to cleared up outside now. According to some of the people coming in, there's constant overcast and the mocha here is a little hard to see outside.
Yeah, we also noticed there was a little overcast down over the Antarctic ice cap too.
It's apparently raining pretty hard.
Zephyr 1 upsmanship.
Yeah.
He may know that, but he doesn't even know whether his grass is wet or dry.
It's apparently raining fairly hard up in Washington where the All-Star game was to be played tonight. It started out, I understand, and it was rained out, and they called it off.
They need a roof on their stadium so they can catch all those flies.
All right.
In the rain.
Touché.
Hey, Charlie, what's the preliminary outlook for weather in the recovery area?
Stand by, Buzz. It looks pretty good as far as I can tell. We got along the tropical convergence line there, there's a few clouds shown on the weather map I'm looking at here, but nothing of significance right now. Stand by. Let's see, right now in the MPL we've got 3,000 scattered, visibility 10, wave out 3 feet is present weather. I don't think there's anything forecast to be of significance. There are a couple of flight just informed me that what I just gave you was the forecast. There are a couple of tropical storms in the not in the area of landing, but in the Pacific. Storm called Claudia, which is about east of Hawaii. It's going northwest and dissipating. There's one called Viola, which is out over Guam, and so they aren't any factor at all. It looks like it's going to be real nice for recovery. The Navy called up those special COM-Cs for you guys from up there on the Hudson.
Yeah, we might need it. We'll get a look at it tomorrow, I guess. Probably be giving it a pretty close eye.
Roger. 11 Houston, the retros were wondering if you could fill us in on any non-nominal stowage that we have on board, just location and weight, about all they're interested in, over.
Roger. We'll do some work on that and let you know, John.
Thank you, sir.
Lighting up.
You ready, Kim?
Yeah, I'm down between now and putting on the bed so I can get over to the tank and walk heater back to auto. We're overbalanced now.
Okay, you ready to do that, Ed? Yep. O2 tank 1 heater to auto.
And Apollo 11 Houston, would you please place O2 tank 1 heater to auto, over.
Auto it is. Houston, Apollo 11.
Go ahead.
What we'll do, Charlie, tomorrow is go through and reconfigure our stowage as closely as possible to nominal. Some things that will not be nominal are as follows. The EVA visors were brought back into the command module, and we have not yet found a home for them. We'll let you know where they go. In addition, there's about 5 pounds of miscellaneous weight from the LEM in compartment Able 8, and it's taking the place of the LCGs, which we moved from A8 into the suit bag. We got rid of one miscellaneous trash bag, mostly old food wrapping, and also old underwear and that helmet protective visor of the CMPs. We left all that with Eagle. And Those are about the only off nominals we have.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, Al.
Roger.
Retro flight.
Go flight.
Are you feel confident you know what they meant by the nominal configuration there? That we really do have a common baseline you're working to?
That is correct.
So
we've got a nominal storage list and so forth. Guys, background, real detail knowledge, all that. All we need is the discrepancies from this nominal.
Okay, very good.
Flight GNC.
Good.
Go for the roll.
Okay, very good. Capcom, bud.
Go.
Okay, the rates are down now where we're ready to initiate roll for the PTC.
Apollo 11, Houston. We got the rates looking copacetic. You can go ahead and initiate PTC, over.
Yeah, thank you.
And Buzz, we're still not getting any data from your EKG. It looks like the only way we're going to be able to get any is if at your convenience you would take your, change out your EKG leads, which are the center ones that are connected to the blue pins. And there's a spare one in the medical box, over.
Roger. How many do you want me to change?
Just the center one. I'll get the right nomenclature from the doc. Stand by. It's called a sternal EKG, which is the three center ones, and it's got they lead into the blue stringed lead ones, over.
Okay, there are three of them, is that right?
That's affirmative.
And you want me to change all three?
That's affirmative. They're all hooked together from the picture I'm looking at, and they go into the center belt signal conditioner, and it's got the blue strain relief on it.
Yeah, well, I've checked the connectors at both ends on that. I don't guess we have a spare signal conditioner or anything like that, do we?
No, we do not.
Well, I can assure you my heart's still working.
Yeah, we believe it.
Charlie, what we suggest here is before we start that, turn our two suit powers off and plug his blue lead into my blue signal conditioner and see if we get his signal through my signal conditioner, okay?
Roger, that's a good suggestion, Neil. We concur, over.
Surgeon flight. Surgeon flight.
Right.
Did you copy that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, Charlie, we're transmitting, and let's see if you get any EKG signal on CDR at this point.
Roger, stand by. Houston, we get some data, but it's got the same problem that we had through Buzz's signal conditioner. So apparently the lead is broken, and we'd like it changed out if you could, over.
Okay.
Thank you.
GNC flight. I believe you guys are only plotting this PTC business for if there's a problem coming up, isn't that right? All right, are you plotting of pitching you off now for this PTC?
We're plotting it until we're sure that this is stable PTC.
Okay.
That can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours.
Okay. How about showing it to me before you decide to stop plotting? Fido flight.
Go flight.
How about the entry interface update? Have you done one of those?
That's negative. We're still anchored on the same one we were earlier.
Okay. Let me know when you change it.
Right.
Econ flight.
Go flight.
Have you given any thought to this pre-sleep checklist tonight? Are there any deviations or any changes at all we'll want to make to this?
No changes except we want to go back to the Army.
Okay, and that is the standard.
That's right.
Okay. GNC flight. How about you on this pre-sleep checklist? Are you anticipating any changes at all from the standard one?
Negative flight. You finish the PTC now. I'll stand by and see how it goes.
Okay.
Flight Fido.
Go flight.
Mid checkpoint.
Flight, come hold off the engine, please.
Okay. Hold it.
Strike up.
Houston, Apollo 11.
Go ahead, sir.
Roger, I think the problem was that the center lead had dried out. I'll go ahead and put the new one on and see how that works, over.
Roger.
Can't tell you how good it feels to get it off.
I can imagine.
Flight Fido.
Good.
Still need a checkpoint.
Econ. Econ flight.
Go flight. Peak go.
Okay, yeah, Fido go.
Flight Fido, checkpoint complete.
Okay. Hey, Fido, could you give me an estimate on when you expect to update your entry prediction?
Probably within the next 30 minutes.
Okay, thanks. That works fine.
Flight work.
Hey, I've been seeing these TV pictures. Go out.
I don't believe so. What channel are they? They're all channels. That's the same old thing Quietly had. We've investigated it. They're looking at it. I'll try to put it on downstairs.
Apollo 11. Houston, Apollo 11.
Go ahead, 11 over.
Roger, how are you reading the EKG now?
Stand by. We'll let the docs look at it. Buzz, we're on low bit rate. We'll get you on a high gain momentarily, and we'll let you know then, over.
Okay, I got my high gain antenna coming out.
Roger, just leave it on react. We'll get you.
Flight network. Go ahead. One is blinking at the TV. last night, and it's been going on for quite some time, but they again started monitoring last night. It's the power of the same generator back at this place. At the present time, nobody knows. They're still trying to find out. We don't feel like it will take us down. The flame will be scary. That's what I was thinking on this time. Pretty sure there's many people looking into it for you.
Apollo 11, Houston. Buzz, your EKG looks good. Now the doc said thanks a lot.
Okay, they're welcome.
Flight fighter. Okay, we just did an update here on all of the data that we have received post midcourse 5, and we're showing a gamma at EI of minus 6.57.
Okay, you're looking at that on
Channel 10.
Okay. How do you feel about that tracking we've had since midcourse? Has that been good stuff?
It hadn't been the world's greatest, no. And we ought to get better than that.
Okay, and we have...
In about another couple hours or so, I think we'll have a much better handle on it.
Okay, so what are you saying? Don't put too much faith in this one?
Yeah, that's affirmative.
Okay, and it has come down a little steeper, as I recall. It was about 6.4 earlier.
6.46 based on the confirmed midcourse, that's right. I think we're well within the corridor, but when you start talking about out to tenths of a degree, I think we ought to wait at least a couple hours.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Let's see, we're supposed to... Yeah, go ahead. Not to my knowledge, they haven't. They might have been right shortly after the maneuver, but I don't think we've given them anything based on post-maneuver tracking. Well, we hadn't had anything. Yeah, it's probably worthwhile, and we've got, I think, about 3 hours before they're supposed to enter the rest period, and we will have an entry period for them during that time.
Apollo 11, Houston, based on our tracking since the mid-course, we're showing a gamma of minus 6.57. This is preliminary, though, and we think that after some more tracking, it should come on in, and we could tweak it right on into the quarter. We're just about in the center of the quarter, and everything's looking fine. We'll have you a entry pad in a couple hours before you go to sleep. And from our friends in public affairs, a few headlines. Other than your flight, you're still dominating the news. However, there are some other things of interest for you. As I mentioned earlier, the All-Star game was rained out. It's going to be played tomorrow. However, President Nixon will not be able to see it as he planned. We'll keep you posted on the results. And also, the weathermen are going to be good to you. Our forecast looks like it's holding good for the recovery area. It should be real fine out there. President Nixon, as he prepares to fly out to greet your return, predicted that within 31 years, man will have visited at least one other planet bearing some form of life. In the year 2000, we on this Earth will have visited new worlds where there will be a form of life. He told 2,000 foreign exchange students at the White House. Before he left for his week-long trip, the President sent Congress his proposal for reorganizing the Interstate Commerce Commission. He also conferred with Chairman Earl Wheeler of the Joint Chiefs of Staff on his return from Vietnam. And the launch of Intelsat was scrubbed and has been rescheduled for 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Wednesday. The second stage fuel ground support system showed some contamination. And back in Washington, the House Ways and Means Committee agreed to tax changes affecting oil companies, banks, and utilities that could add nearly $2 billion a year to federal revenues. And also today, NASA announced that it will launch a large orbital workshop in 1972 with a cut-down version of the Saturn V. and your television pictures attracted a lot of interest. They were shown live throughout just about the whole world. And but we're expecting hundreds of telephone calls from mothers all over the world complaining that their youngsters are trying to drink milk from spoons. Thanks to you, Mike.
I take it all back.
You need more practice.
This is Apollo Control. Things are beginning to quieten down aboard Apollo 11 as they get nearer their sleep period. Probably won't be too many more exchanges between spacecraft communicator Charlie Duke here in Mission Control and the crew aboard Columbia. Entry countdown clock now showing 37 hours 53 minutes. This may be refined a few times between now and splash time, or entry. Apollo 11 now is 153,080 nautical miles out from Earth, approaching at 4,373 feet per second. And at 157 hours 10 minutes ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control.
Flight again.
Here we go.
Gets all to correct something I told you all ago about the high gain. It appears that the thing, when we go to switch back to it. And I told you a while ago it was be fitting at the last point since you hadn't satisfied the criteria to go back to manual setting. But the only way we can explain that would cause it to do that is the fact that when we switched on the T, something kicked it. The spike kicked it into the limit. And it gets back there and sits there.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, that's a great way to operate.
Right, Retro.
Go, Retro.
Okay, based on the last trajectory update got a few minutes ago, the mid-courses are holding pretty steady. Mid-course 6 is 110, mid-course 110, flying there.
Okay, in our criteria, though, we would not do a mid-course. Is that right?
That is affirmed.
Okay.
And I'm still going on the assumption we're going to update the entry pad assuming no mid-course.
Right.
Chill within the quarter.
Right.
Right, Retro.
Go, Retro.
Okay, based on the last trajectory update got a few minutes ago, the mid-courses are holding pretty steady. Mid-course 6 is 1/10, and mid-course 7 is 5/10.
Okay, in our criteria, though, we would not do a mid-course. Is that right?
That is affirmed.
Okay.
And I'm still going on the assumption we're going to update the entry pad assuming no mid-course.
Right.
Still within the quarter, good shape.
Right.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead, GNC.
You have the PTC plot on channel 65.
Okay.
The large increments are 1 degree.
We're about 4 degrees out right now, is there? Or at least the last point on the plot there.
I guess the only thing that goes with that flight's the recommendation is probably a good PTC.
What are we up to? 4 degrees at the last point on there? Is that what it is?
Yes, just slightly over 4. wish the plot continued.
You got anything else to do back there? Yeah, I'd like to see it, but I don't want to interfere with other things that you feel are more important.
Well, we'll probably pick it up later then and bring it up to date a little bit more. There are some other things that they're doing back there, like counting jet firings.
Okay, well, if you feel like that would interfere with something you'd rather have them do, how about letting me have a look at it toward the end of the shift here, complete, up to date, okay?
Roger.
Let's say about 3 hours from now.
Okay, we'll do it.
GNC flight.
GNC.
Hey, I got another question for you. On the quad balance situation here, is there any, you got an explanation of how Bravo got so far ahead of the other, or so far ahead of the flight plan?
Well, how detailed an explanation would you like?
Well, if you're going to tell me they didn't use as much out of Bravo, I was looking for something a little more than that.
That's why I was trying to put the bounds on the... at normal usage, B will use less than D, even though you use them in the same configuration.
Yeah, okay, but what I've got here are deltas from the flight plan predictions, and they're all negative except Bravo, which is plus 25. So apparently, I don't know how the real balance is. All I've got here to go by is what the flight plan prediction was for each quad. And apparently, Bravo, for some reason, is doing better than we predicted, but all the others are worse.
Well, part of it is the normal imbalance that comes about through usage, just because of the offset CG that we always have. And
isn't that accounted for in the predictions, though? The different
yes,
usage in each quad?
It would be if we did exactly what the flight plan calls for. However, that's assuming that you do so many feet per second of plus X's for mid-courses and this kind of thing. And it turns out that the translations are the things that cause the imbalance to develop the most rapidly.
But if we do a translations, it's with a certain pair of the quads, isn't it?
Yes, generally.
And the only reason we deviate from that is to try to balance them up.
Right.
Flight PAO, need a checkpoint. Flight PAO, checkpoint complete.
Okay.
Flight FAO.
Go ahead.
The observatory is now covered by clouds. No laser.
Okay.
And there's one other thing that I wanted to mention to you. Econ will want a water dump sometime between 9 and 185 hours. And FIDO, because we're not planning MCC6, would like to see that really the earliest possible time. In other words, he'd like to have it right now, but he recognizes that this would probably mess up PTC. So what he would like to see is if we have to stop PTC for any reason during the night, or to do it then, if not, the first thing in the morning when they wake up.
Okay, I'll note that.
This is Apollo Control. 158 hours, 1 minute ground elapsed time. There's been a certain amount of conversation between Charlie Duke here in Mission Control and the crew of Apollo 11. We'll play back the accumulated tape at this time and then rejoin the conversation when it does resume on a live basis. Let's roll the tape now.
Hello, Apollo 11, Houston. Buzz, you brought the surgeon right out of his chair. We see you exercising, over. Thank you. Exercising, is that correct, Buzz? Yeah, that's right, Buzz. All right, we got his heartbeat way up. He's sort of out of shape.
Yeah, that's what we thought.
Like I'm at 185 hours just for 9%.
Okay. Does what's your rate of producing water?
Dwight, you've really got a busy one tonight, huh, Dwight? Say again, Mike, over.
What is that about?
San White team's really got a busy one tonight, huh? Oh, boy, we're really booming along here with all this activity. Can barely believe it. What are you doing, sitting around your feet up on the console drinking coffee? You must have your X-ray eyes up. You sure can see a long way. Yeah, we're watching you as well, you know. All right.
Hey, Flight, we've really got an interesting exercise here.
What
the RMP is really doing very
Two people in the viewing room, and then more than's in the trench. We got 8 in the viewing room, and let's see, about 6 in the trench right now. And this is a highlight of the day, Buzz's exercise for the surgeon.
What was the high that you all measured back there? 170, huh? Flight, I guess I got really carried away there. No, actually, we saw the highest rate we've ever really seen during exercise, which shows that he was really doing very good exercise.
11, you copy over?
Roger,
Nice, Neil. The highest heartbeat ever seen on a manned space flight, and we just went low bit rate. The surgeon is about to die. I measured it up here. It came out to be 247. Well, that's super. The unit's on that furlongs per fortnight. Right, we copy that. Econ says if you keep that up, you're going to have to change your CO2 canister. He's going to make me do that another 45 minutes anyway. That's true. That's the highlight of my day. I'm really looking forward to that. Hurry up.
Over to the checkpoint.
Checkpoint, then. Econ.
Go ahead, do it.
Okay.
Copy.
Apollo 11, Houston. I was just reading some of the transcripts of earlier today about this earlier PTC that we attempted, and when you keyed in the verb 24 and did the 2 enters, it took off on you. I think we got a story on that if you'd like to listen to why it had such a high rate, Mike, over.
Yeah, I'm all ears.
Okay, I think it'd be better if you got your checklist out on 9-7 and we could walk you through it, and that way I could probably get the story straight, over.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, Mike, what happened is, you were sitting there monitoring verb 16, noun 20, and at step 7 you went into verb 24, noun 01, and keyed in the address and then information, and on the final enter of that 35400 enter, right after that, that then puts you back into the 16, noun 20. Then when you did the verb 24 enter, you were really entering the information in the actual CDUs. And when you got the 2 entries in register 1 and 2, it was an instantaneous change in the actual CDUs. And the COMDAP looked at that and saw what it thought it had. My gosh, I got a 600 degree per second rate, and it turns on the jets to try to take that rate out. And the rate filters that it's looking at, the rate it's looking at is filtered, so it doesn't really sense the actual rate until the thing is already built up, and then it starts reading the rate filters, and it says, well, I really didn't have 600 degrees, so then it turns it off and tries to slow it down. But until that happens, and it's some time lag, and that's why the rate was building up. The jets were on, and they were going to stay on due to that instantaneous suspected 600 degree per second rate. Over.
Okay, I got you.
Right.
Hey, Charlie, you saying that for a short period of time he actually loaded noun 20 with some value other than what's being read by the CDUs?
I think I got that, Buzz. That's affirmative, but when he did that second verb 24, the noun was 20, so when he did the 3175 and then the 002 enter, what he actually did there was load the first 2 actual CDU locations, and the computer looked at it, the DAP looked at it as an instantaneous change in the actual CDUs. Stand by on your comments. We're switching antennas. They're very scratchy.
Okay. Right.
11, Houston, we got you back now on a high gain. Did you copy all that, Buzz? Over.
Yeah, I think so. I thought maybe the noun 20 was one of those that you could never load from the diskey, and that still may be. Maybe it was loaded just for a short period of time, and then when the counters read the gimbal angles, where they changed it back to what they actually are, but in the meantime the DAP saw this different number. Is that right?
Well, I got it. Guys is telling me that you can actually load those ACDUs, the actual CDUs, but we're checking on that. Over.
Okay.
Up 11, Houston. Buzz, the word from the back room is that you can actually load the noun 20, but you should not.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Apollo 11, Houston, we got a recommendation for you on your stowage of the LIM EVVAs. Over.
Go ahead.
Okay, we'd like span guys say it looks they think that one would go on the helmet that you're going to have in B1, and you could put the other one on Mike's helmet, which will be in the sleep restraints. Over.
I got a little bit on the helmet in B1. The other one might go in the sleep restraint. We've got them in their helmet bags, and I guess it's kind of nice to keep the helmets in the helmet bag, or the levers in the lever bag.
Roger.
Yeah, we're thinking maybe they ought to stay sealed up.
Okay,
It won't hack B1, Charlie, with a cover. I tried it already.
Okay, fine. We weren't sure of that. It's just a suggestion. We thought you could check it out. Sounds like you've already done that. So I guess whatever you can come up with, just let us know. Over.
Okay, it's no problem. We'll let you know where they end up.
Roger.
This is Apollo Control. We've had no communications with Apollo 11 in the last several minutes. So at this time, 158 hours, 45 minutes ground elapsed time, we will take down the circuit and come back up when and if conversation resumes prior to the time the crew starts their rest period, which tonight is scheduled for 10 hours. 158 hours, 46 minutes ground elapsed time. This is Apollo Control.
Good.
Yeah, we got about 15 minutes before putting them to bed. Can we get the pads and get this pre-sleep checklist out of the way?
Yeah, okay, yeah, retro flight.
Roger, flight. I've got a pad here.
Okay.
We're just now getting a vector, but it'd probably be another 15 minutes or so before we can do it. I'll probably just go ahead and go with this.
Okay, and why don't you go ahead and work on the other one? Or
We have a clock increment the retros won't put in also.
Flight go.
Go ahead.
In about 3 minutes also, we'll have Omni D command in. We can figure it out there also.
Second, Econ.
I say in about 3 minutes we'll be on Omni D and they can position the Omni switch to Bravo.
Okay.
And we'll give you a call on that.
Okay, and is that all you're going to need to do, Econ?
That's firm.
GNC flight.
GNC.
Okay, do you need to do anything to be configured for the sleep other than turn off the 16 jets?
Oh, they're off, Mike.
They're all off now.
That's the only thing.
Are they all disabled now?
That's the last step in the PTC procedure, is to disable all 16.
Okay. So you're ready for them to go to sleep right now, then?
Affirmative.
Retro flight.
Flight GNC.
Go ahead.
On channel 65, there's another 1 hour installment on the PTC.
Yeah, that's one of the most interesting ones yet.
That's the plot of the first and third hours.
Flight, did Guidance say you had a load for him?
He's got a clock update.
Yeah, I think we're waiting for a minute here to see if we're going to have a state vector as soon as they get as much tracking as they can here.
Okay.
The load is already out there and waiting.
This is Apollo Control, 159 hours, 49 minutes ground elapsed time. Apollo 11 crew is giving their final report prior to their starting their 10-hour rest period. We've got a little accumulation of tape, then we'll join live. Let's roll the tape now.
Hello, Houston, Apollo 11.
Go ahead, 11, over.
Okay, crew status report. Radiation, CDR, 11020. CMP, 10022. LMP, 09024. No medication.
Roger, copy. And Neil, we'd like your onboard readouts of batteries and RCS, over.
Okay, Charlie, ready, copy?
Raj, go ahead, over.
Okay, Bat C, Pyro Bus A, and Pyro Bat B are 37.0. RCSA 51, B 63, C 63, D 59. Go.
Roger, copy all that, Neil. And we got a entry pad if you're ready to copy, over.
Houston, Apollo 11, ready to copy.
Roger, Buzz. It's an entry pad, MPL, starting with roll 05. 3-5er, correction, 3-5-9er, 1-5-2-0-0-1. GET 1-9er-4 4603 267 plus 1102 minus 17203 068 noun 60 36194 656 11894 36275 195 0303 0027 noun 69. All four lines are NA. Picking up with D0 400 0209er. RET of blackout 0017 0338 0820. Sexton Star 0209er 45 149er. Foresight Star is Scorpii Theta. That's Scorpii Theta. Up 315. Right 35. Lift vector up. In the comments, this entry pad assumes no mid-course 6. And for your information, looking at it right now, based on all the tracking we got, that maneuver would only be 1/10 of a foot per second, so we'll probably skip it. We'll let you know more about that later. Okay, your horizon check at EI minus 30 minutes, GET of 194 3303, gives you a pitch angle of 298. Okay, the GDC, you back up a line, you set star for the entry rest mat are Denham and Vega 079er 234 340. Standing by for your read back, over.
Roger, lunar entry, MPL 359er 152 001 194 4603 267 plus 1102 minus 17203 068 36194 656 11894 36275 195 0303 0027 4NA 400 0209 0017. 0338. 0820. 02. 09er 45. 149er. Score by Theta. Up 315. Right 35. Up. Assume snow NCC 6. Horizon at CI minus 30. 194. 3303 at pitch 298. Set stars. Dennis and Vega 079er 234 340. Over.
Roger, very good readback, Buzz. And for your communication setup for tonight's sleep, we like
I'll back on Omni.
Hold up. Stand by.
Are we ready with the load?
Fido's making a last check for the state vector. Okay, he says we'll go without a state vector update.
All right.
We got to get this load to one other site we're handing over here.
You're going to Honeysuckle in 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's where he's putting the load right now.
You gonna do a clock update there?
Roger, clock update, 8 centiseconds.
Flight network.
Okay.
Prepare to CP file. We're recycling CP.
Roger.
Retro, you copy that?
That's current flight.
Apollo 11, Houston. If you didn't copy that, Buzz, it was a good readback on the pad. We've got a clock update for you that we'll have to you as soon as we get it out to the site. It's we're in the process of handing over to Honeysuckle. It'll be a couple of minutes over.
Okay, at the computer clock.
It's at Goldstone.
We'll call you. You can stay blocked right now. We'll give you a call.
Come in with CP down, stand by.
We can pick the clock update at any time.
Flight network, we're back up.
Okay.
Flight, RTC flight control, please.
Roger.
Okay, flight controllers, we're going to be putting the crew to bed here pretty soon. Anybody's got anything to discuss about the spacecraft, they better do it right quick.
We're ready, flight.
Okay.
Hello, Apollo 11, Houston. Would you please give us PAO and accept? We got a clock update for you.
Go ahead, Charlie. We're PAO and accept.
I hope he didn't select PAO. I'm afraid he did.
Roger.
Terminated the PTC out there.
Do what? Guidance flight.
Go ahead, flight.
You get a pro?
Well, if he selected PAO, we probably terminated PTC. Just a minute, let's see.
I thought he was supposed to.
We got all the thrusters off there.
We just collapsed it. Okay, no problem, okay.
We're glad you thought about that. What happened when he collapsed it?
Yeah, the thruster's off, that's all I can do though.
He was in PAO anyway, but
He was already in PAO. I think the bird 37 looked up there and he fell through, but I think the bird 37 that's good.
Stay with you up on flight.
okay.
Apollo 11, Houston, we got the load in. You can go back to block, over.
Okay.
Roger. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead,
And 11, Houston, one final thing. We'd like you to select, Omni to Omni, Omni A to Bravo, high gain track to manual, and beam wide. Your angles are 270, yaw, pitch -50. Over.
Roger, 50 and -70.
The angles, Buzz, were yaw 270, pitch -50. Over.
Okay, yaw 270, pitch -50.
That's right. And Apollo 11, it's Goodnight from a Sleepy White team. Over.
He did not select poo anyway, Flight. The disc he has some way of blanking.
Roger, thank you very much.
We don't understand without selecting poo.
We're not as sleepy tonight as we were last night.
Yeah, I guess you guys were pretty tired last night after that busy day.
That's affirmative. I couldn't even find a chlorine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, we've been sitting there looking at him for 4.5 hours, and come up to get the load in, and all of a sudden, panic.
This is Apollo Control. Crew of Columbia at this time should be getting ready to start their 10-hour rest period after having been tucked in by spacecraft communicator Charlie Duke here in Mission Control. At 160 hours 10 minutes ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control. This is Apollo Control, 161 hours 28 minutes ground elapsed time. The crew of Columbia is now in a 10-hour sleep period. The official time they went to sleep, according to the surgeon, Dr. Ken Beers, was 160 hours 42 minutes ground elapsed time, almost an hour ago. The Columbia now is 141,369 nautical miles out from Earth, approaching at a velocity of 4,628 feet per second. Entry clock now showing 33 hours 34 minutes to entry, or 400,000 feet altitude. Here in Mission Control, the black team of flight controllers headed up by Glenn Lunny is moving in to take over for the next 8 hours or so. Spacecraft communicator Charlie Duke will be replaced by Ron Evans, who just entered the room. And at 161 hours 29 minutes ground elapsed time, this is Apollo Control.